1 2 1 2. What's up, everybody? I go by Renoir, Ren the Vinyl Archaeologist, and this is Behind the Stream, the first episode of our talk show where we talk in depth with streamers on Twitch. Hold tight while I get things situated here. Can you please, everybody who's tapped in, make sure you hit that host. Make sure you also check in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know how it sounds out there, actually. Let me know if my mic sounds right. All that good stuff. We got a special guest today. You may have seen him streaming on Twitch, or maybe you haven't. He's a mystery man. But I've been wanting to interview this next DJ for a minute. So now we get to interview him here live on Twitch. On Behind the Stream with yours truly, Renoir. What's up with the next beat? Let's do this. And if you're watching this on Facebook, please join us on Twitch. We got Angie Snap in the building. Welcome, welcome. This is Behind the Stream. All right. So, right about now, I'd like to introduce my guest. Again, please make sure you hit that host button. All right. So, my guest coming up, I have, he's been in the scene for a minute, in the hip hop scene for a minute. What's up, Catity? Welcome. I have to just enlarge my screen there for a second so I could read. Catity in the building. Angie Snap in the building. Welcome. Where are you guys tuning in from? I'm broadcasting from Oakland, California. Again, this is Behind the Stream, where we talk to DJs on Twitch. In-depth interview. My next guest, he's began his music career in 1984, started as a mobile DJ, and evolved into a prominent college radio DJ, club DJ, remixer in San Francisco. One of his 45 reel-to-reel mega mixes was featured on commercial radio station KMEL. During the late 80s and early 90s, his weekly radio show, Beatbox Fridays, on college radio KCSF was instrumental in breaking many hip-hop records in the Bay Area market. And in the early 90s, he launched a legendary publication, The Bomb Hip Hop Magazine. In 1985, he transformed the magazine into a record label. He's since been on the front cover of Billboard magazine, featured in the motion picture Scratch, the movie about DJing and turntablism. He's toured throughout Europe, the US, launched many different projects on his record label, and he's done a lot of great themed events. What's up, Alex Mejia? Alex Mejia in the house. Thank you for the subscription. We're going to have a legendary talk right now. My next guest, also known for his events, the Prince and Michael Experience, that big 80s party. You've seen him all over the country touring these parties around. So please make some noise, everybody, for my guest, DJ Dave Paul. What up, Dave?
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
All right, cool.
All right. So, I've known Dave for the past 20 plus years. When I first moved to the Bay Area, to San Francisco, I started throwing parties, and he was actually throwing parties at the same joint at Storyville. We shared Friday nights, alternating off and on. Also, we've also thrown a party together. We brought out DJ Jazzy Jeff, which was an epic event at Storyville. So, Dave, for people who don't know you, this is probably their first time seeing you on screen.
All right.
Can you give people a little background for people who don't know you?
Oh, started mobile DJing in 1984 while I was in high school. And if you talk to anybody that was around in the late 70s, early 80s, pretty much everyone in San Francisco was a DJ.
Uh-huh.
So that was just that. And like, I couldn't dance, but I still wanted to be at the dances. So I was like, well, I'll DJ. And got into that, tried doing some breaking, but just simple strutting was about as far as I could get. Going down to the floor was never worked out that great.
Come on, I know you could do a kick worm.
I don't know about that. If I go down to the floor, just call 911 because I'm probably not getting back up. And yeah, it started from DJing, and it's sort of went 360, and I'm back to DJing and did a whole bunch of stuff in between the magazine, the store, mail order, record label. And so, yeah.
You've been in all facets as a DJ, as a record label owner, just as a promoter, in all facets of the music business in terms of DJing and this hip hop scene. What can you tell people about Bomb Magazine? Do you have a copy? You have a copy laying around?
Oh shoot. I probably do. Hold on. Yes, here's a couple copies.
There you go.
It was a black and white zine, anywhere from 24 to 48 pages. I think this was actually the last one, issue 49.
Oh, dope. Who's on who are you featuring on there? It says Necro, Mr. Liff.
J Live, Necro, Mr. Liff, AJ Rock of JVC Force, and Shorty of the Lynch Mob.
Okay, so tell me about the zine. How did it come about? What's the content in the zine?
How it came about was I had written a few different articles for startup rap magazines that they never ended up coming out. And then so I was just like, I'll just start my own magazine, not knowing anything about how to do that. So I actually, the first issue was all done on typewriter and then shrunk down 25% to make the paragraphs fit on a page, and just used a glue stick, stuck them up, and yeah, that's how it started.
That's old school, cut and paste.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, totally. I was just interviewed Jeff Chang and Davey D last week, and they were talking about the importance of the zine, especially in the Bay Area, because there were other zines that was coming out, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's Straight from the Lip in San Diego, and Flavor in Seattle, One Network out in Connecticut. It was probably like a dozen indie rap scenes that were out in the '90s for sure.
So can you talk about like, you know, it kind of, for me, you know, it kind of like uh uh what's the word? It kind of shows the independence of the Bay Area scene in terms of like what you did with this zine, right? Also, you know, college radio had an influence in the Bay Area scene.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Just that era of the zine and college radio and how that all kind of
Yeah, I mean, we
worked
we had
together.
KUS, we had all the college radio DJs, Kevy Kev, Davey D, Billy Jam. We had K Poo, Marcus Clemens, KK Baby. Um, and then we had the stores. We had Leopold's, Aquarius, Streetlight, the Tower, all the three different Tower records. Um, and then you had the artists who were like just selling stuff out of their trunk. So like that whole 90 to 95, 96 era was, and then the clubs too, Townsend, um, Club Mirage, Palladium was still going, I think, at that time.
Hmm.
Um, Stone. um,
So this is where a lot of the venues that would like host hip hop shows.
yeah, well, Palladium did some, and City Nights to a point as far as like Mantronics and stuff like that. And then there's like Storyville, and I'm sure I'm like drawing a blank on a lot of other like the bigger shows were kind of like at like Gallerias and the Henry J. Kaiser out in the East Bay, where it was always something popping off,
Hmm.
Um,
What
but
made
yeah,
what made Bomb Hip Hop like different from all the other zines?
other than being black and white, not color.
Well,
I don't know. We try to cover like all aspects of hip hop, breaking, graffiti, DJing, and like international artists as well.
hmm.
So
Did you guys
yeah.
also have like a top 10, like the way like Bay Area Hip Hop Coalition put together?
Well, I mean,
You know how Dave was just talking about how in the beginning he started this top 10 kind of like list, which became a thing, and it became like, it didn't necessarily, it kind of started a trend when he started sending his
yeah,
list.
it did, because that's when I started doing my top 40 lists, and then I'd write like a review or something on one page, and that was what became the magazine. Um, and also Vinyl Exchange. We can't forget about Vinyl Exchange. That was, and then there were international. There was is it Vapors out in Australia and Sabotage out in Germany. So there were like indie magazines popping up everywhere.
And tell me about Vinyl Exchange, and rest in peace, DJ Steph, because that was, after I came to San Francisco. So tell me about Vinyl Exchange. I kept hearing about it.
Um, I still have some issues around here somewhere. If I remember correctly, it was like one full page that opened up. Um, but it was great. I can't remember too much of what was in it,
Hmm.
but I mean, DJ Steph was the real deal
Hmm. Hmm.
for sure. And I gotta say, man, every time she came to any of my events, she never ever asked to be on the guest list.
Hmm. Hmm.
She's always just showed up and paid, and I would be like, oh man, I would have put you on the guest list.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
that was just the type of person that she was.
Yeah, yeah. She was always, yeah, just she would just pop up. She was just a hip hop head.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
sure.
So she would just show up. Last time I saw her was actually at an Amoeba event where they were interviewing Brian Coleman, the author of what is it? Don't Sweat the Technique.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was like him and Prozac and Eric Arnold on a panel. So that was one of the last times I saw her. It was a pretty cool discussion,
Right.
So it kind of, putting all these things in place, they say like people have to like move to LA and New York to make it. But, for a time, it sounds like the Bay Area just created its own, through the magazine, through the zines, through the college radio. You guys kind of created your own infrastructure, especially with the prominence of like when Dave and the Bay Area Hip Hop Coalition came together, like and consolidated their power as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think outlet. It was just kind of like, well, you got to do it yourself, like, and I don't think people really started thinking about moving to LA until later in the 90s. There's a few people from up here moved down to LA.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of us, it was never. LA was different then too. It wasn't as cool as it is now. Like LA was a different place in the 90s. So it's like when someone moved to LA, you were like, whoa, because it used to be a different kind of vibe down there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think LA has so many transplants now that it's kind of a cooler spot to go visit now than it used to be. Unless you were going to Disneyland in your teens or whatever, But
Right.
If you were going to Disneyland, you weren't hanging out in different areas and record shopping and stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. True. So you started DJing it back in '84.
Yeah, mobile DJing. Yep.
So were you straight out the gate just doing like parties or?
Yeah,
Tell me about the mobile DJ scene in the Bay Area.
It was huge, man. I mean, Ultimate Creations, Nightlife Sensations, like these crews would pull up in their U-Haul van and they had the trusses and a stage and those clips, La Scala speakers, and you'd go to these mobile DJ battles, and they'd have maybe like 4 different crews at the Kezar Stadium.
How early were the battles? Do you remember?
Oh man, I mean, as far as I can remember, in the early '80s for sure. Maybe it was going on before that, and I was just too young and didn't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think one of the first big battles I went to was at Kezar Stadium, and it was Mind Motion was in it.
Oh wow!
And I can't forget the other crews. And then they also had a breaking battle, and King Tech was in that.
Oh wow! Dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, man, I wish someone would have videotaped that night back then.
And for people who don't know, King Tech was Sway Calloway's partner. Sway and Tech. What was it was just a Sway and Tech show?
Wake Up Show.
The Wake Up Show, yes.
Show, yeah.
Yeah.
And before that, they were doing the Flynamic Force stuff.
What is that?
They were a group.
A rap group.
Sway was rapping, and King Tech and I think Joe Quicks were doing the beats. Alex Mejia would probably know, but Alex used to work with them, so he'd know better who worked on all those beats.
Oh, nice. Maybe we'll bring Alex in later on if he's down.
For sure.
So let me just play a little clip from
Uh-oh.
this from the movie Scratch,
Okay.
and where we're talking about the mobile DJ scene in the Bay Area. Here, let me just cut to this clip right quick, and then we'll get back into the conversation.
In the mid '80s, everybody was a mobile DJ.
Yeah.
When you went,
You were a mobile DJ.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in
Me too.
high school, everyone had their crews, and you'd bring your whole system, and everyone would play for half an hour, and whoever like rocked the crowd the best was, like the winners.
Lowrider, car show, YMCA, corner store battles, you know what I mean? School DJ battles, block parties and shit, For real, man. I used to do parties, and the motherfuckers would want to take my turns, But that never happened, did it?
It was all about battling, You got the b-boy battles and totally the DJ battles and stuff, and everyone would kind of get together, or you would even go to someone's house.
Even if they just...
So that's a little clip from the movie Scratch. What's up, Selecta? Selecta in the building. Make sure you follow Selecta 720. So yeah, there you guys are talking about the battles in the early on. Do you remember seeing Qbert and Mixmaster Mike in some of those battles?
I think that might have been a little bit later.
Uh-huh.
I want to say something though. What about what Eddie Duff said in there? That was real, man. DJs were getting robbed all the time. And not just at gigs, man. People were breaking into their houses and stealing all their equipment and stealing their records.
Wow. What?
It was real back then.
That's crazy.
And I hate to say it, I always thought it was other DJs doing it.
That is crazy.
Like back then, like startup DJs would be like, yo, let's just go get all this dude's stuff and get his records and we could start our own crew or whatever.
Wow.
Maybe they went and sold it. I don't know. But yeah, man. That's why like back then, like you just didn't let people know where you lived.
Wow.
You didn't want to get robbed.
That is insane. I didn't know exactly the context of what he was talking about. They didn't take my turntables.
Oh man, you always had to watch your stuff, man, and going to gigs, loading in, loading out. That's why you always had someone out at the car or the van. You never left it alone while you were unloading or loading, because even now it's even probably even worse as far as like going to gigs, and you see it all we saw it before COVID, but people would leave their backpack down and there goes their laptop and everything else.
Yeah. It's still the same. Nothing's changed.
Still the same. It's just a lot lighter for them to take that than to take like turntables and crates of records.
True. But I still hear about people getting broken into, getting all their gear, like the whole PA gone. So crazy. So the battle scene. I remember back in New York, my first introduction to the battle scene was through the mobile DJ scene, which was pretty much for me. I lived kind of like near the border of Jersey. It's only 20 minutes to the border, and basically they had a whole Filipino DJ scene in the northern part of Jersey that I would just go attend. They'd rent like a veterans hall and have DJs, and that's the first time I was ever exposed to like DJ battles and MC battles for that matter. But it was primarily like Filipino cats doing it, So I imagine that it's pretty similar to what was going on in the Bay Area.
Oh man, out here, yeah. Here's a funny story. In senior year of high school, I was working at a Chevron. Got a job working at Chevron. And I guess I wasn't selling enough tires or whatever, so they moved me to a different Chevron, like off on California Street. My first day working there, and you got to work till like 10 at night. And the guys put it on KSOL, it's either Michael Erickson or Cameron Paul mixing. And we'd always listen to that. And then something came up and they're like, it ended up, because everyone that worked there was Filipino, ended up every dude that worked there was the DJ.
Do you still know them? Do they still
No,
DJ?
but we did a gig together one time, man.
Nice,
It
nice.
was some battle, so we took my crew and their crew and put it together to make one crew to be in the battle.
Mm-hmm. So did you actually were you also like turntableizing?
No, because I could just never get that down. Like I could do the simple like white boy scratch,
Little baby scratches?
or I could do. You know what? I could transform, but it had to be with a clicker. I couldn't do it with the fader. And now mixers now don't have a clicker, so
Right. They should build
I was
one.
always breaking the pole off my Newmark and I'd crazy glue it back on.
My fingers are too long for a crab scratch. I'll get arthritis if I like.
Yeah, like my brain will tell my hands to do it, but my hands can't do it.
Nah, I feel you. My first mixer I think was a Gemini mixer, and it came with like a little transformer button. So that was fun because I was like, and then I kind of learned, okay, well, it's really all about the rhythm. If I'm doing this button to the rhythm, I'm good,
Right.
So, yeah. Selecta says, I used to transform with a racquetball using the phono line switch. Do you remember that? Have you ever done that? Racquetball, like a ball, I guess. How do you do that? I know the phono line switch, you just kind of, but with a racquetball ball?
When you put like the ball on the pole, rolling it across.
I don't know that
that's
technique. You're going to have to show us that one, Selecta. Wow. That is interesting. So and then so you went from the battle DJ to radio. How is that?
College radio at KCSF. Yeah. And used to do Beatbox Fridays, which was 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. And I usually went in there hungover because we were at Club Townsend on Thursday nights. So sometimes I'd make a pre-made like 2-hour set to just play while I could just have my head down trying to
I can relate.
recover from all those Long Islands.
Nice. I can relate. and then like so you started there, and then where did that progress in terms of the radio?
As far as radio, it didn't progress anywhere further than that. Like when I was doing the college radio show, that's when I started doing the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I was like, well, I'm never going to get into radio because I just don't have that type of voice. And I just can't do that. To me, it was always about the music. So I was like, okay, well, I'll roll with this magazine thing. And then even with the magazine, that turned into being releasing records. So then that's when I was like, okay, well, I'll stop doing this magazine and start doing this record thing. And then the record thing is a whole another monster of that. Anytime someone says, hey, I'm starting a record label, I tell them don't do it.
I mean, you've had some success. I mean, I think I have some. Let me see if I could pull out I got a few of your records here. I got the DJ one and the B-boy one. The compilations. Those are dope, by the way.
Yeah, they're good albums, man. There's some like really good stuff on it.
Like, especially like the B-boy one, because I was a B-boy back in the day, and plus it's just super funky. There's definitely some joints on there.
Yeah.
Here's another. Let's go into another clip from scratch, and we can kind of talk a little bit about it.
Party in someone's garage where they'd open up the door and it'd be like 8 people sitting around smoking weed.
Make that motherfucker warm! It's getting hot! It's getting hot!
I remember going by Eddie Duff's house all the time, and he'd be down in this little room that got all sweaty, just scratching.
Make it a little warmer!
If if you're doing something and no one even gives a fuck about what you're doing, and you're just doing it in your bedroom for yourself, like how you really feel, it's like a painter just going crazy. That's what happened, and that's why they would come up, like, say, the Tones, go, this really is cool, you know, and it wasn't like thinking, well, will this work at the club on Saturday night? It was just, let's just do it. It sounds good to me.
What made it unique was we all had our own individual styles. I was into like scratching horns, and Q had this drum.
I was just scratching some drums, practicing, and then Mike comes in with the horn. I don't know. He just walks in the room and says, "Ooh," and he started scratching with a horn. And from there, Apollo came in and said, "Whoa!"
Apollo came in with the trumpet stab, and that's how it started. We looked at each other while we were doing it. Sounds like a band, right, guys? Yup. Sounds like an actual band.
Oh, we felt totally like this is it right here. We're doing something different than everyone else. Yeah, we were totally like on another branch of hip hop.
I guess in the early 90s.
So that's another clip from the movie Scratch, the Invisible Scratch Pickles, before there were the Invisible Scratch Pickles. They're the Rocksteady DJs back then, and I guess they're kind of like the what people would say were the first DJ band. The first time, you know, people were actually using turntables as instruments, and you know, as they were describing, one would play the sax and the other would play a drum beat and stuff like that. So a lot of people credit them for you know, innovating that.
Yeah, I mean, they were really the first ones doing it as FM20. And then when sort of the whole Rocksteady Zulu Nation thing came out here, then they became Rocksteady DJs. And then shortly after that is when they became the Invisible Scratch Pickles. And even if you look at the first Return of the DJ, Invisible Scratch Pickles is spelled the regular way.
Oh, yeah?
That was how they spelled it before they switched it and have it the way they have it now. Like, literally, while the records were being pressed is basically when they, you know, with the Z and all, you know, the way they spell it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, if you look at the volume 1, it's spelled just regular Invisible Scratch Pickles.
Oh, interesting. So, so they were definitely, you know, pioneers in the game. Do you remember have some early memories of those cats, like when you first started discovering them?
Yeah, I remember Qbert was in it might have been a DMC battle, I'm not sure, but it was down in San Jose. And he just killed it, and I think that was the first time I seen him in a battle, you know, and I was all like, whoa, what's this?
Uh-huh.
Because he did like the Mary Had a Little Lamb and all that stuff, which later he did in like DMC US or World or whatever that was.
Uh-huh. Was it the tone play? He was doing tone play?
Yeah. You know, but there was, you know, 8 Ball was doing tone stuff. A couple other DJs from San Jose were doing tone stuff. Yeah.
Nice. So, I guess we'll go into more of this clip because we were just talking about your series of releases on your record label, and this clip ends with that. So let's watch a little bit more.
There really weren't DJ songs on albums anymore. And actually a lot of rap groups didn't really even have DJs anymore.
That's the scene that we were like totally not into. We were totally just all DJ kind of band and stuff, you know. I mean, we love the rap and stuff. It's just that what they were doing with the DJs in the background, and they were just filling stuff. I was like, yo, this is not. We just totally blocked it out, and it was just, we were in our own world. We were like on Jupiter or something.
But when David Paul came, he was like, yo, let's make an album, just a DJ album. No MCs, just y'all shining.
They were like, all scratch an album. What are you doing?
The return of the DJ.
Oh man, it definitely opened some doors, and it opened our minds. Up until the return of the DJ album, my goal was to DJ for a popular rap group and be on stage with someone and and be in videos and stuff like that. I never thought that I'd end up having my own album and that I'd be able to exist as a musician without the presence of an MC. And Return of the DJ was like the start of that.
Yo, so that's crazy props, bro.
Crazy. And I gotta tell you something about that movie Scratch is
If you produce
Oh, sorry.
I didn't want to do the interview for it.
You didn't. You don't do
No,
too many
no.
interviews. I've looked for interviews, and that's the only one I could find.
Well, usually I turn down interview. I don't like doing interviews. And yeah, like Brad and Doug kept leaving me voicemails.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, like a few different people were doing like DJ documentaries and they just sounded like nerds, you know? And I was just like, oh, what's another who's working on what? Like, and I didn't want to do it. So every time I heard their message, I'd be like, nah. And then one day Billy Jam called me up and was like, dude, they're coming over to my house. Come over. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And jumped on BART, went over to Billy Jam's house out in Oakland. And then even when we shot it, I never thought any clips would end up in the movie because, you know, things end up on the editing floor, you know.
Sure.
But so, yeah, looking back, it was great that I did it. And I almost missed that opportunity.
Man, and you just got, you know, that was Rob Swift giving you props for kind of opening the doors for turntablists. you
Right.
know. So, I mean,
That's great. It's always good when someone else tells your story. I mean, I know for me, it's hard to talk about myself. So when
Yeah.
people, you know, oh, well, what do you do? Oh, I just, you know, me, I just say, oh, I'm a DJ, you know, and then that's all they know. Cause I'm not going to I don't want to
give you your
Hey.
whole resume.
yeah, you know, I mean, people hear, oh, you're a DJ. Oh, cool. People hire you. And it's very different than what I do. It's like, no, I put on the event. I just happen to be DJing it too. So, you know, I'm putting up the money. I'm doing the promo. If people don't show up, I'm losing money. You know, it's not a simple clubs giving me $5,000 to just show up.
Right.
I wish.
People
But-
don't understand, you know, what it takes to be like a promoter and stuff like that. You know, you're not just like there standing there as the host. The shit is not easy. People think it's easy.
not.
They think that you just put together a cool lineup and a dope flyer and it's done. Your
Man,
job
I
is
wish
done.
it was that easy. Everybody wants to be a promoter till they lose money,
Exactly.
and then they're out the game real fast.
Bro, I mean, and I've been promoting events so long. I've lost my fair. I mean, I've lost like 20 G's one time, and that put me in the hole a lot.
Yeah.
When I booked Premiere, and it was just a matter of like the partner that I chose didn't have his game right and stuff.
Was
like
that?
But that's
the
another
sound,
story.
The Sound Factory.
Yes,
gig?
yes,
Yeah,
so that
okay.
was that one. You remember?
Say no more.
You know the pain. So
I know the pain.
let's go into that. You've been a promoter since the early '90s.
Yeah. I think one of the first gigs I did was at Night Break with Paris, and opening up was Mellow Mar from APG Crew. And yeah, man, I wish I still had that flyer. I gotta find it. Tell you, I already know who has the flyer, and that's gonna be Billy Jam, because Billy Jam saves everything.
That's dope.
Like, he'll pop up and he'll have flyers for stuff for like one of my gigs or this and that. And I'll be like, dude, I don't even know where that is. Like, I'm sure I have it somewhere in a box, but yeah, man, Billy Jam's got all that stuff.
And so you've also posted stuff like of your shows at the DNA Lounge.
Yeah, that was not probably half of them were during the Gavin convention.
Okay, tell me about that.
And for people that don't know, the Gavin convention, there was a publication called the Gavin Report, which radio stations reported their playlist and stuff too. So they would have their convention every year at the Western St. Francis. And record labels would always send their staff, but they'd also send artists. So you would just be like walking in the elevator and there's like Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley or whatever, you know. But you were able to get these record labels to bring artists, so you'd be able to do shows and have like of course my mind goes blank, you know, Funk Dubious, Nas, back when Nas was called Nasty Nas. And you'd be able to get them for a show, and you could put on a show for like $5-7 because you got the artist for free because the record label was paying them.
That's dope. That's a nice deal for promoters.
Dude, you couldn't beat it. So then you would just be like, yeah, $7 ticket, had like 15 acts on the bill. Your guest list would be like 150 people because you had to hook up all your homies, and, you know, and you could afford that because you weren't paying for the acts. The labels were paying the acts. So that was a great deal.
That's awesome. You brought out who else was Cypress Hill?
No. I did a House of Pain.
House of Pain.
Yeah, the first House of Pain show, and B-Real was with them. That actually was not during Gavin, but Tommy Boy paid for that.
Oh, nice.
I think Tommy Boy paid for that, if I remember correctly.
And I see on the list here, Ultramagnetic MCs.
Yeah, Pete Nice and Daddy Rich.
Invisible Scratch Pickles.
Art of Origin, Jurassic 5, Beat Junkies, Supernatural, Dr. Octagon, which I actually did. I think I paid the flight and hotel for that. Yeah.
Nice. So you've been promoting parties since what, like early 90s?
Yeah.
And then so when I met you, like maybe 10 years later at Storyville, you know, you'd already been 10 years in the game. 10 plus years.
Yeah.
In the game.
Yeah.
Dope.
And it's funny though, when I was doing those things, it was never thinking of, I'm going to be a promoter and do these events to make money. It was just like, well, this is an extension of the magazine, or this is an extension of the record label, or it was just doing it to do it.
So Selecta says you also booked him.
Yeah, I booked him. Selecta played in DC at Union Stage and Voltage Lounge in Philly. We did those events. Maybe 2018 it might have been.
Oh, okay. Which events was that?
Hip hop, classic hip hop.
Oh, okay, dope. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like getting a little bit feedback, but so we were doing parties at Storyville. There's been over the years, you know, everything went digital, right? We stopped doing the flyers. Because when I started promoting, we're still doing on our flyer and poster grind.
Yeah.
I started early on. My email list, you know, was very key to my success very early on. Just because of the .com thing, you know, a lot of people don't know that was the key to my success. It was the fact that like I had a lot of .com emails, and it was before people blocked emails or put things in spam folders. So when I sent out 5,000 emails, 5,000 people actually got it. So that was like kind of the secret to my success, and I would just be like, say on my email, just email me back a list of your friends' names, full names only, and people would just send me lists, and my parties would be packed early because they'd have to get in before a certain time, right?
Right.
So that was like the key to my success. But like over time, we had to like figure out different ways of doing things. Can you talk about that journey a little bit, and how you eventually evolved and started throwing these themed parties? Your Prince and Michael Jackson experience, the that big '80s party, and how that came to fruition.
Well, I got to say, what you did with the list and people got to be in by a certain time, that's very smart, because if the venue has really good bar sales, you're always going to get rebooked. As a promoter and as a DJ, and it took me many years and I only realized this like 4 or 5 years ago, is we're not in the music business. We're in the alcohol sales business. And if that venue sells enough drinks, guaranteed, you can still be a crappy DJ. You're going to be back there. As far as being a promoter for my own gigs, it was mainly so I could get gigs.
Right.
Because venues weren't hitting me up to like come play. And I don't really roll with clicks, so it's not like I could get on and get my little hour set out of 5 DJs or whatever. So it became, well, if I'm the promoter too, and I can present this event, and
and be the DJ and be the star of the show.
Yeah, but I never
You're the
thought
headlining
of
act
the show, because I'm always like, put me in the corner in the dark. People don't even need to see. Like, a lot of DJs like to be in the spotlight and they're dancing around and doing their little twisting knobs thing, and I'm like,
hand hearts.
I want to watch the people dancing. I don't want people watching me. I mean, that's fine if some people want to watch and see what you're doing, but I'm not doing magic tricks up there. I'm more happy when I see like people on the floor dancing, having fun, like and that whole thing.
And it's funny because you're the same way on Twitch.
That's why you don't see me on Twitch. No, you know why you don't see me on Twitch? Well, I mean, that's one reason, is because I'm not doing anything. You're just going to see me like searching for the next song, and I'm not going to be on there smiling. I'm not going to be on there
dancing,
and it's, for me, it's very hard to talk on the mic when I'm playing music. Like, that's just a whole nother, like, my head's too locked into the beat that I just can't talk.
I feel
that's why I tell people, like, I'm going to start doing some talk shows so that I can actually talk. But if there's music playing, I can't talk. Like, if I'm in the club and checking out some DJ or whatever, and I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, my head is still locked into the music. Like, I can't.
No, I feel you. It's like, it can be distracting when people are trying to talk to you and you're DJing.
Right. And then there's no way I'm going to try to chew gum and do all that at the same time. Like, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, as far as the parties, I had always wanted to do an all Prince party. But at that time, there were the Dream Factory parties out here in the Bay.
And what was that?
It was a collective of like 3 or 4 promoter DJs, just like Prince heads, and it was a Prince party called Dream Factory.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that'd be a little weird. But then later on, I didn't realize that they kind of had stopped throwing parties. So Jeff Harris always kept telling me, like, oh, well, why don't we do like Prince and Michael Jackson? I was like, yeah, I don't know. So that just kind of went on for like a year, and then it was just like, well, fine, let's give it a shot. And I brought my Prince records. He brought his Michael Jackson records, and it was actually at Storyville, in the front room of Storyville.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first one that we did.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. So it's interesting, being a promoter, right? I remember always, a lot of different things like take priority. I was always booking all these DJs, and sometimes I'd be like the first one to spin, so nobody would hear me. Or, something where I'm the last where nobody would hear me. You know what I mean? Because you're like trying to juggle. You're trying to just maintain the event. You're trying to make sure your door person is set up, and you're trying to make sure the vibe is right and the sound is good. You got all these other worries than actually DJing, and that sometimes just like takes a back seat oftentimes.
Right.
So, but what you did in your case is you said, okay, I've promoted events forever. I know how to do that. I got into promoting because I was DJing in the first place. I mean, for me, that's how I that's how I got into promoting events, because I wanted to get a gig. So I just got together with a few homies and started throwing parties, right? And I was good at that, but I was also still a DJ, and I wanted to also still let people know that I'm actually a good DJ. So I could see, we have a lot of similarities in that way,
I can look back now at when I had the record label, and I realized I was putting all my time into making other people's dreams come true.
There you go.
And so later on, I realized, like, me doing this is making my own dream come true.
There you go.
I was spending, my money, my time, and, ended up going into debt, trying to keep the record label alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I was finally like, I'm too deep in. I just gotta stop. Like, it was getting harder and harder to sell records. Even when you had a good record that could sell, getting paid on it was a whole nother thing, because the distributors would either go belly up or they'd have an excuse. And then there were returns, which was the evil devil of the music business, because stores, be it Tower, indie stores, or whatever, they don't pay for it. They're taking it on consignment.
Oh.
So if you have a P&D deal, which I had, and they'd be like, okay, like, we got pre-orders for 5,000. We're going to press up 5,000 and ship out 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, cool, but 6 months later, like 3,500 of those units come back. They're like, well, do you want them destroyed, or you want them sent to your house?
Oh, wow.
And you have to pay for the shipping of that. And let me tell you, man, what are you going to do with 3,500 copies of an album that can't sell? It sits in your garage for years until you finally dump it. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that from experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different now because digital, which, you can have a record label sell stuff digital. But if you see people selling, making records like indie, how many are they making? 500, 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't, the early 90s, you could put out any decent record, maybe sell 5,000 if it was decent,
Mm-hmm.
My problem was I didn't always put out good records. I thought they were good, and it was stuff that I liked, but that doesn't mean
it translates.
Average person's gonna buy it,
But yeah, I love the transition though, because you went from promoter to promoting your own event to being this DJ who tours these theme parties. And I remember your early flyers, or even now, sometimes your flyers are just kind of simple. It's not even like you necessarily need like a graphic designer you just put like Madonna
Right.
and some impact font, and you're good. You know what I mean? Like,
That's exactly the font I used on that.
so I love the simplicity of it.
Well, I've tested a lot of images, and that particular one for the '80s party is always worked best for the Facebook ads. So I just keep using it.
So, and I
Once
also
you find something that works and it's still working, like roll with it.
yeah, and just your evolution in terms of like in the digital sphere of promoting. You know what I mean? You got it down in terms of like you have your camera people. You always have photos, which is great. That way people can see all the crazy characters that show up to your parties around the nation for your Prince and Michael Jackson parties. People actually dress up. You know what I mean? I think that's like key to your success. You know what I mean?
You know what that is? That's after promoting. People only think about promoting before the event, and then after the event, everyone forgets about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you after promote that and all those, you know what all those photos do? They get me more venues. Because you send that photo link to the venue and you'd be like, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If they see people having fun and they see people dancing and they see people drinking, that's why you always put in some photos of people with, holding like 4 glasses. And all they're thinking is like, clink, it's $12 a drink.
Totally. So, I mean, yeah, that's a great point that like those photos. So do you put that in the budget? You have like you're like, okay, well, this is my budget. There's got to be, camera guy is part of the budget.
It's my Facebook ads. It's going to be my flight, my hotel, my Ubers, my food. If I'm hiring a photographer, depending on the city and depending on what photographers cost, some cost more than others. I wish I had more video of past parties. Like COVID and Twitch has made me think, like, document everything. I would never record my mixes in clubs because I always felt like, for me it's always bad luck, and when I record, that's when I mess up. But I'm over that now with Twitch because if you mess up, you mess up. Whatever.
Yep. Keep it moving.
Like it's live. It's you're doing your thing. So obviously now when I'm go back in the clubs, I'm gonna record everything because then you could take that recording, stick it up on Mixcloud. You can just repurpose it and get more life out of that than just that one night.
And just the fact that I'm just so inspired by you because of where you've taken this whole thing. You know what I mean? Just touring around the U.S. and Europe too, or what?
No, the only time we did the tour of Europe was in 2003, and that was the Bomb Hip Hop Tour that. Which was booked by Sabotage, by Karen at Sabotage. And Sabotage was the old magazine from the 90s out in Germany that Karen did. And later on, she turned that into a booking touring business.
I see.
And we had known each other from the magazine business. And that's how that all happened.
But yeah, just the fact that you're able to tour these different theme events, the big 80s party, Prince and Michael Jackson, and you're the headliner. That's it. That's
most of the time. Like sometimes Marco does stuff with me.
Who's Marco? Marco from
Minneapolis or Marco from Philly. But yeah, most of the gigs, and that's the weird thing is like being the promoter and the DJ because you're either in the booth or on stage or whatever and you're DJing, but you're always watching the door, like, are enough people coming in? That feeling like when it starts getting 11:30, you start getting nervous, like, dang, there ain't enough people up in here. Am I going to get that last minute rush before 12 o'clock or is it just not going to happen tonight? And it's not always the promoter's fault. It could be it's just a weird night. There's other events going on. It could rain. Rain always messes it up. Like in Chicago, people will come out in snow, but women will not come out in rain.
Interesting.
Their hair. That's what people tell me is their hair. Because if it rains, you're like, whoa, where's everyone? But it could be snow and 11 degrees, and there's a line down the block. And you're like, wow.
And yeah, it's great that you've just kind of created a whole community and kind of a cult following for your parties. You have like so many Facebook pages, and they're all doing very well. You're like a master at this.
Man, it's hard to keep up on all the pages. That's the tough. The thing was, I was always promoted the parties and the music, and didn't really promote myself, which is good and bad. Because my thinking was, when I get too old to go out, I could have other DJs go out and do those parties. That audience, people are already going to be there. They're not coming to see me. They're coming for the music.
For the brand.
Yeah. So, but also now I'm like, but if I had a bit of a bigger name, I could probably get better deals. So, it's always a problem to solve that I have yet to figure out the answer to.
So do you actually team up with other promoters when you go to these different cities, or it's just the venue and you?
It's just the venue and me, and some venues promote and some don't. You know how that is. They add you to the website and their Facebook page. You're lucky. You know,
do you have to stay on top of them?
I think I played in, I don't know if it was Cleveland or Cincinnati or something, and it's kind of a big venue. It was like 700-800 capacity venue, and it was a venue that Prince had played it earlier in his career, which was kind of really cool. And there were about like 400 people there, and I remember the night manager, might have been the owner, I don't know. He was all like, he came up and he was like, "Where's your people?" And I could tell these were all my people, you know. So I was like, "Well, there's my people. Where's your people?" Like, everyone up in here is like a hardcore Prince or Michael Jackson fan.
Word
like,
up.
Where's like everybody else, you know? Venues used to promote, like, in the 90s, venues used to promote, and somehow something changed, and it's mainly on the promoter or the DJ or the act to draw the people. I'm not sure how or why that changed over time. It just did, and that's just how it is. It's always a pleasure when you do find a venue that does like put in some time and effort. You're like, wow.
And which venues are those? Name names. Who does well? You've done the House of Blues, right, in New York?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
I'd have to say, well, I mean, Madrone does a great job.
Okay.
Public Works does a great job. Resident does a great job. Nectar Lounge in Seattle does a great job.
Okay.
Union Stage in DC does a good job.
Do you see the regulars when you show up in these cities? There's always somebody dressed up as Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as the Prince of Michael, yeah, there's regulars in every city. There's always going to be like those 30 to 40 like people that you just know from Facebook who are like all in the Prince groups or Michael Jackson groups, and yeah, you see those people, and but the trick is, especially for Prince or Michael Jackson, I've always said this, is the audience is only going to be like 30% diehards. It's like 15% Prince, 15% Michael Jackson. What you got to get the drinkers, the dancers, the hipsters, the punk rockers, whatever, everybody else, you got to get them through the doors, because if you're relying just on the diehard fans, there's not enough of them in each city to bring out 300-400 people.
And so you've been doing the Prince parties, like your Prince and Michael Jackson parties preceded Soul Slam, right?
Nah, his was 6 months before.
Oh, okay.
And a year before him was DJ Dread, and before Dread there was someone at Cal State that did it in the late 90s.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Nice. And so we were talking about photographs before, and here's a photograph where you have Drew Barrymore show up at your party. Tell us about this photo, these photos right here. What's going on here?
Okay, I can't see them on my screen, but I assume it's the three. We only had 3 photos from that night.
Look at your face right there.
So this is when the DJing was on the other side of Madrone, like where the video screen is, and one of the security guys comes up. He's like, "Yeah, we just got a call. Drew Barrymore is coming over." It's when we were doing our '80s party at Madrone, and we were like, "Yeah, whatever." So, but sure enough, she came in with maybe 5 friends. They probably danced for like an hour and a half.
Nice.
And then they started leaving. And I was like, "Oh, I can't let this happen." So I ran out there. I introduced myself. I was like, "Hey, do you want to guest DJ with us and stuff?"
Nice.
I was like, "I'd give it a shot, you know?" And she was like, "Yeah."
Dope.
So she came back in. She guest DJ'd with us, hung out. And then her and her friends went back out on the floor for like another 30 minutes or so. And then there's a bunch of guys in there that started taking off their shirts and like dancing around her and stuff.
Oh no!
And then they were out after that. They were like, "Oh, San Francisco's getting too wild up in here."
That is hilarious. Have you ever had those similar types of encounters in other cities where different celebrities will show up?
Nah, man.
What about, since you've been doing your Prince tributes, has anybody from like Prince or anybody from their camp ever hit you up? Like, you know, I know Prince was very guarded.
You mean other than their lawyers?
Yeah, exactly. Prince was always very guarded about his brand. And, you know, he for the longest time, before Prince passed away, you couldn't even see a Prince video on YouTube. Like, he's he's one of those cats that's super serious about his name and his content.
You know, Prince knew about my party. I know for a fact because someone had showed him one of my flyers. And in fact, it was the flyer that was of EPMD, but it was Prince and Michael Jackson and Prince and Michael on the faces.
Oh, really?
In the studio, you know. He never hassled me. And the state never hassled me till I played the main room of First Avenue.
What happened?
They came at me, man. They shut down all my Facebook, everything.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Because they use a website called Mark Monitor. And that can shut your website, Facebook, it could shut anything down that they want to shut down. So yeah, they shut down all my Facebook, which shut down like all of my Facebook, like all my ads for all my other parties, like everything was gone. You know, I was able to get it back, and then you know I had an email exchange with one of the estate lawyers, and they're just basically like, yeah, you can't use his image, you can't have someone draw an original drawing, you know. Which is kind of messed up because I see all you people out there sticking Prince on a flyer and y'all ain't getting busted.
It's probably because you put it on EPMD.
No, I had stopped using that flyer long ago. No, you know what it was is because we had played the side room of First Avenue 7th Street entry 4 times in a row. Sold them all out each time.
Tell me about First Avenue. What's First Avenue?
That's the venue in Minneapolis. That's when Prince is in Purple Rain, that's the venue he's playing in.
Okay.
So then we were finally,
So you did a party there.
Yeah. So we did 4 in the side room, and then finally it got to the point where they were like, let's do the main, because we sold out the first 2. And then they were like, "Oh, are you ready for the main room?" And I was like, "Oh no, let's sell out like another 1 or 2 in 7th Street entry, and before we move up." And so we moved up. We did it. 1,000 people in there, and I think the estate was like, "Oh, who are these people doing this party?" And it's not on a death day. It's not on a birthday. It's not with a big promoter. They're just DJs, and they're their own promoters, and they got all these people. So I think that's when they were like, "We can't have this."
So you got your Facebook back. That must have been pretty scary. Because I mean, that's a lot of work.
Annoying because I had all these other events going for like 80s and hip hop and all that, and like everything just, The thing was, I got my Facebook back in like 2 days before I even heard back from their lawyer. And then she was like, "Oh, well, when you do agree to do all this stuff, we'll have Facebook turn your stuff back on." I was like, "Well, my stuff's already back on."
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they were just like, you can't use any Prince image, you can't use the Prince symbol, this and that. With Prince's birthday coming up, I see all these parties online right now, all Prince photo and the symbol and everything, and I'm like, man, they ain't going after them. But
well, I mean, I think after Prince passed away, it was like the floodgates were open. You can actually see Prince videos now on YouTube and hear his music.
And I'll be honest, man. For me personally, the parties aren't as fun for me because he's gone.
Yeah, you're like the biggest Prince fan that I know.
and I rarely listen to him now.
Dope.
Except at the gigs, but other than that, it's too painful.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it was just so sudden. I think for everybody.
Yeah, it was sudden and it was sad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we could go into what led up to that within the weeks, and he shouldn't have been alone. And where did he get the bootleg pills from? They sure didn't really investigate that, and ask any true Prince fan, they know who he got it from. Now, where did he get it from? I don't know, because he ain't talking.
Can you mention anything? I don't know any of this. What's the story?
Who was always around Prince at that time? That's all I gotta say. It's only one person. Because it sure wasn't Judith Hill, so that leaves one other person.
Alex Mejia, do you know? Alex is another Prince fan.
But if I start dropping names, then I'm going to get labeled a hater and all that. You know how that goes.
Sure. And you don't want to put that energy out there, and next thing you know, shit goes viral. They take a little clip of you. Dave Paul said this.
Right? And then it'll just be like... See, that's why I don't like to do interviews. That way I can't be quiet. Like, even today, I was all like, I got to be careful what I say, because if I start talking, I might say something, and then someone's like, "Oh, but here it is. You said that."
Right. No, I feel you. I can respect that. So let's talk about Twitch. Yeah. So you got into it. You have a really strong following, as you do with your nationwide parties. You mentioned before, you're not on screen and you're not on the microphone, and I just give you so much props for having the following that you do and not being on the mic or on the camera, because everyone feels like it's a need, it's something that they need to do in order to, you know, to be on Twitch, to be a Twitch DJ, you know, but you're not doing either of those things, and you're still having a lot of success.
But also then I wonder, oh, well, if I was on camera and on mic, maybe my hype trains would go better. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you always think, like, well, what if I did that? Yeah, I do Twitch just like I do my parties, which is like, well, it's about the music.
Mm-hmm.
I got on Twitch early. DJ Trip had hit me to it right at the beginning. He was like, you need to get on here, and he helped walk me through like OBS, because I was like, what's all this, you know? Yeah, I think the hardest part right now on Twitch is there's not enough listeners. What I mean by that, at least for like 80s music, which is mainly what I do on Twitch, I think there's really only about 2,000 true 80s fans on Twitch. And obviously they're not going to be on all at the same time. That's spread out between the weekend hours. And then you have sometimes, like on Saturday nights, you'll have like 10 DJs on Twitch doing 80s. So that splits up the audience even more. So I think a lot of DJs are happy just sort of feeding on the listeners that are on Twitch already, instead of trying to pull people over from Facebook, Instagram. Like, we need to go get the people that are sitting there on Spotify and get them on Twitch. Pandora, get them on Twitch.
Yeah.
People just listen to music on YouTube and not even watching the video. Let's get them on Twitch.
I feel you. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, and I'll personally, I also think Twitch needs to invest in their own fucking marketing and not just depend on us.
Well, here, I think the thing with that is, one, because they're mainly a gaming platform.
True.
It wasn't really on, and until they could work stuff out with like music publishers and record labels, I don't think they want to promote DJs.
Even though they got the best DJs in the world.
It'll be easier for them to quote unquote get sued for letting DJs play music on Twitch. So I think that's why you don't see them promoting. And even if they did, they probably wouldn't promote that part. They'd probably just promote like the big name DJs.
Of course, sure.
You know, I see they've added new tags on Twitch, but they still haven't added 80s.
I mean, a lot, like you said, a lot of people are. I mean, 80s is a huge decade, so you know, and there's a lot of people in our demographic, us older heads, that do listen to the music, but you're saying that they're just not on Twitch.
They're not on Twitch.
Yeah. So
everyone's running to Clubhouse, but they ain't running to Twitch.
Yeah.
Everyone's running to TikTok, but they're not running to Twitch. And then they come on Twitch and, I don't understand this bits and subs. It's too confusing. Like, really? You figured out TikTok? It's not hard. Just sit in a channel for like an hour and watch and listen, and you'll fit. It's not complicated.
Yeah, it's really not that complicated.
But I think they're like, I don't know why more people, as far as listeners, like people like, I'll listen to X, Sirius or whatever, and they'll listen to the 80s channels, and they're sitting there complaining that the station's playing the same 25 songs, and I'm like, well, let me tell you, at least on Twitch, as far as 80s music, you can pretty much find an 80s DJ playing 80s music on Twitch at any point in the day, for sure.
Yeah,
and I can tell by their viewer count, and I can guess who's already in the room. Like if they got like 60 viewers, I can probably guess at least 20 of the regular people that I see in every room. I already know who I can guess and then click on that and know who's already going to be in that room.
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
because those same people are keeping it alive. I gotta tell you, man.
Nice.
Like I already know Mary is gonna be in there. I already know Heather down in LA is gonna be up in there. And they're gonna have a couple of the other, 80s DJs who are also up in everyone else's room. Like you can guess. Let me see who's up in this right now, and I can see Kat. Kat's always gonna be up in there.
Dope.
Tubular 80s, she's gonna be up in there.
Shout out to Evie Nicole. Shout out to Chill 919. Those are my mods right there.
Hey.
Chill said old heads in the house. True.
And I'm still modless. I still mod it myself too.
What?
Yeah, man.
I guess you got to put the word out or something. I'm surprised actually.
Nah, I don't want a mod. And I don't need one because you know what? Here's the thing: is I'm not on camera, so I mix. Then I'm turning over to my keyboard. I gotta ban a bot real quick. Maybe type in the chat. Turn back, figure out the next song, mix it in.
Usually, I think it just happens organically, right? I mean, Evie's been down with us. Chill Chop comes in, all the time, frequently. So it becomes the people who frequent your channel that become your mods just organically.
Totally.
But yeah. So with regard to Twitch, you definitely got some success. But I think the key to your success is just great content, good music, your blends, your edits. You just have a smooth. Your mixes are mad smooth, and also just the visuals. You have these old school visuals from I don't know where. Are these like from your archives? Are these some of your friends from like high school and shit?
Dancing footage?
Yeah, some of that dancing footage.
Man, that's all stuff ripped off of YouTube, which is hard to find because there's not a lot of footage of 80s clubs back then because you had to have like the big video camera with the light on it,
Yeah. True.
So yeah, that's like Stratus down in San Diego. They have like a bunch of videos on YouTube, which is great. They were smart enough back then to film. And then like some places in the UK and places out on the East Coast. But there's not a lot of footage out there of like 80s nightclubs.
So I think that's what makes yours unique because when people see these videos, it definitely takes them back to
and it's called like the hairstyles and like the way women did the eyeshadow.
The dances.
And the clothes, yeah, man. 80s was a fun decade, man. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, 80s sucked. I hated high school, this and that. I'm like, then you was just rolling with the wrong crew because we had fun and smoking and drinking and cutting class.
And the music was really diverse. I remember when we used to go out to these mobile DJ gigs or whatever, like these mobile parties, it would be a mix of like new wave, freestyle, electro was in, so all those different genres mixed in, hip hop, like it was just a hodgepodge of music that they would play, even popular music that had a groove.
And we even kind of dressed that way, like we were into hip hop, but we dressed kind of new wave. At least just me and my friends, we were kind of like the weird ones, because we just, we trust new wave, but we're all, trying to strut but we like freestyle music too. Like, you'd go to a party and you'd hear, at least in the earlier 80s, you'd hear disco, soul, funk, freestyle, hip hop, dance, it wasn't, back then it wasn't a theme party. It was just, It was just a party. Like
Yeah.
that's like mobile DJs had to be able to play everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think later on, I guess later on, if you look at it, like clubs is sort of, it didn't start to become the theme thing, but it was sort of like this club is like freestyle commercial stuff, and this club is kind of new wave alternative, and and then you had some of the bigger clubs where they had 3 rooms, so it was like the hip hop room, the house room, and like the reggae room.
So I'm trying to look for some throwback pictures here. Let's see here. Let me see if I could find one of you from back in the day. Let me see here.
There's a few online from like my high school days and stuff.
Let's see. Yeah, there's actually if I just Google you there's like a old school pic right here.
You know what's funny is I never Googled myself for images.
I think I just saw one recently. It was and somebody had put your picture beside your other picture that was like old school. Oh, here it is.
Yeah,
on Discogs.
I did that. That's probably on
Oh, did you?
My Facebook, yeah.
Okay. Let me pull it up right here. This is classic. Oh, it's so small. Okay, wait, let me make it bigger. Oh, here it is. So that's you. What year is this?
Hold on.
And you got your Prince shirt?
Oh yeah. So that's like 84, 85. Yeah, I'm wearing the Prince. That's the Prince shirt, which had the short sleeves. Underneath it, I have a Van Halen shirt.
Oh wow.
I have the YSL belt on with the belt buckle, the pleated pants, and
you got your Z Cavariccis?
Like Walkman headphones. I don't know what I got going there, and the bangs. I had the worst hair in the 80s, man. Yeah.
Did you have the steel toe shoes?
I did not, man.
You didn't have the stompers?
I was always sneakers. I did have some of those. I did have some boots at one point, but boots were always uncomfortable because I always felt like boots were heavy on my feet.
This is a picture of me in my high school senior picture with a high hair, with my Asian kid and play, high top fade. Talk about hair in the 80s. Do you see?
Yeah, that's pretty high hair, man.
That's probably the highest I ever had it. I did it for the senior yearbook. It wasn't that high throughout high school. Oh man, that's just hilarious. But yeah, so you're navigating on Twitch. Tell me about so you've been offered partner. Tell me about that whole thing.
Partners, see, like when you reach qualified for partner, then you still gotta apply. Like it just means you did so many hours and
you reached 70 viewers per hour or something like that.
Something well 75. I think it's 75. But
okay.
Then you have to apply, but it's really not. They don't say it, but it's really not 75. So I've already reapplied 4 times, and every time they turn me down, it's just like you don't have enough people and watching you on a regular basis, and that's why you see like a lot of people when they'll put in their Twitch like going for partner, and then they'll be on the mic like, oh, we need as many people in the first hour as possible, because your first hour is usually slow and it builds up, but that first hour counts as far as like goes into your average. So they're trying to, that's. And I'm like, man, I can't sit there for a whole month or 2 months trying to go on every day and everyone tell you, let's get like, no, man.
Path to partner is what they say.
Yeah, path to partner. So funny thing is I felt like once I gave up on that is when I started doing better on Twitch, because then I didn't care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't worried about my numbers and was just focusing on the music.
There you go.
Yeah. So
you have considered being on camera.
yeah, I've done a few little things here and there.
I've heard you on the mic before.
Yeah, but it's just very uncomfortable with it. And like I was telling someone, I was like, maybe if I do it like 40 more times, then I'll be used to it.
I feel you. I feel you.
So maybe I'll do it more often.
I'm still trying to get used to it myself. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I get into my flow and I don't give a fuck. You know, sometimes actually like, you know, sometimes I do like to let people hear the music and I don't want to talk over it. So sometimes I'll like hold myself back and just want to talk over the choruses. I feel like that's when I can talk, because that's when I'm in the club, that's when I feel like I should get on the mic, is during the choruses, during that time. Right. And I kind of try to do the same thing on Twitch, but at the same time I'm not flowing. You know what I mean? Like if something just comes to my head and I just want to say it, I want to I don't want to hold back.
And I never know what to say. Like what I'm going to say. Like, you know, like, hi everybody, thanks for being here. I mean,
what you have for lunch? How's everybody doing? I mean, that's what people will actually do, though. Like, just to get the engagement. Like, what did you eat today? And I don't know about that.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, people are like, oh, well, you gotta. And I even heard this in venues. Like, people would say, like, oh, well, you need to engage with the audience. You need to interact. And I'm like, I'm engaging by playing this music. That's what I'm like. To interact, like, nah, those two people at the bar should be talking to each other. That or dancing. That's the interaction. Like, I always feel like, for me, for my events, the show isn't on stage. The show is on the dance floor. Like, put the spotlight on the dance. That's where the show is the dancers. Like, I'm just playing music.
Yeah, I'm the same kind of DJ. I'm kind of shy.
Yeah.
So for me, I when I DJ out, and I think it'll probably change because of Twitch, because now I'm like used to being on the mic more.
Right.
I'm still kind of shy though, because when people are watching me DJ, I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what to do.
And then I feel like I need to do something. Like,
or they're staring at you, and you just want to be like, "Hey,
like,
hi!"
Oh man!
Or like they're looking, and you're like, "Hey," you know what I mean? Like I want to just wave hi if you're like, or something, you know what I mean? So I can acknowledge you, kind of like when you're acknowledging people in the chat, you know, like.
That's what when I go to a venue and it's like a venue with like a big stage, I'm like, oh man, like. Because if you're on a big stage, then everyone's just going to kind of stand and watch, you know, that. And for me, it's like it's too far away from people and you can't just feel that vibe, you know?
Yeah.
So I always be like, oh, can you put me down on the floor or something like that?
More eye level.
But now with like everything that's happened with COVID, you're like, yeah, put me on that big stage and I'm going to be all the way to the back of that stage, you know?
And put a glass thing in front of my.
I need one of those glass drummer things all around me with like HEPA filters. And, it's gonna be weird going back into the real world and doing events.
And you're going back. I see you're booking some dates.
I'll be in LA on the 19th. And then I have like July and August and September dates.
It's starting to pick up again.
Starting to pick up. We'll see if people come out or not. That's a whole another ball of wax, because not only are people concerned about going out,
sure,
but then there's money factor, because a lot of people don't have money like they used to. Maybe for some people that do, they're now with everything opening up, they're like, well, I'm saving money for summer vacation. I'm gonna be eating in restaurants, so there goes money again because restaurants aren't cheap. Maybe they need to buy new outfits because they either gained weight or lost weight during the lockdown. They're saving for concerts because big concerts are coming back, and that's $100+ for a ticket and fees. And then you got to go out, and maybe you're going out to dinner beforehand, and if you got to get a babysitter, so that
and
all
things are going to
adds
be
up.
more expensive too because of the limited capacity. So you got to charge more, right? How's that looking?
Here's the thing: I'm not charging more unless my venue deal changes. Then I got to charge a little more.
Okay, all right.
Venues that are like, yo, same deal, I'm like, cool, same ticket price.
Dope.
Because I don't like to overcharge for a DJ party. Like,
That makes sense.
and if you're not overcharging for a DJ party, those people have more money to spend at the bar, and the venue's gonna make more money.
There you go. There you go. It's a
yeah,
balance.
We'll see how it all plays out. Like,
Evie Nicole says people will be coming out, guaranteed. Yeah, I think people are itching to be out.
okay, Nicole, I'm holding you to that.
So come out to where are you at in LA? She's in LA.
June 19th, 80s party at Resident,
Okay.
downtown LA.
There you
But
go.
you know what? Tickets for that are actually selling pretty good. So I think that'll be a good turnout, and it'll be a good first time back out. It's going to be a weird getting on a plane. And here's the thing: not only is it the cost of maybe the venue deals changing, but flights are more. I've been checking Uber every day. Uber has gone up.
Yeah, that's what I hear about Lyft too.
Yeah, so because I've been checking, like, oh, how much is Uber to the airport? And I'm like, oh, it's like $20 more than it used to be. You know, so that's going to be $20 to the airport more going there, as well as when I get back coming home. But also down in LA, Uber's probably going to be more, you know, when I'm going from the hotel to the venue and the venue back to the hotel at night. So, like, costs have gone up. And I get why costs are gone up, but people's paychecks probably haven't gone up.
That's true. And things about to run out. People are running out of time. Like their student loans are about to be up in September. You know,
And they're trying to cut unemployment in July.
Yep. So I think there might be another recession right after. I mean, you know, I've been bracing for it throughout the whole COVID. I'm like, when is this recession gonna start? Because it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? There's gonna be another crash because people just, you know, maybe things are starting to open up and they're starting to work again, but there's still a lot of people that are still trying to catch up on their bills, on their rent that they haven't paid. You know, all these things that have safeguarded them from getting kicked out of their housing and all that.
Once that gets taken away, then you're like, and if you've been home, there's been no way to make money. Yeah, man, a lot of people are going to be. It's tough, and it's funny when COVID started. I was like, when it first started, I was like, okay, I can make it to September. Things will be open by then. But then a whole year came around, and now I'm saying, okay, I can kind of make it to September of this year, because I didn't think things would really open up till September. I didn't think things would be open for the summer as far as events. And then I was like, okay, I can make it to September. Man, it's going to be, because Twitch, you know, at least for me and most other DJs, Twitch money isn't the same as in real life money. There's some DJs doing really good on Twitch, but that's
the exception.
10% of DJs, maybe 5% of DJs on Twitch that are making, like, I know some DJs are making better money now than they did in real life, being on Twitch. And I'm like, wish I could do that.
Totally, me too.
Right? You know? DJing. You can sit there and DJ in your underwear, and if you're not on camera, who knows? You know, you just sit there and play music and make money. How great would that be?
Yeah,
But,
that's the dream right there.
and then just go out to a venue like once a month and play just to play live. You know,
Put some clothes on.
yeah. You know, I mean, but I mean the chance. I know the chances for that, as far as me being able to make that kind of money on Twitch, is probably not possible. Which is why once things are opening up, I'm like, let me get back out there, because I know if I don't, other promoters and other DJs are going to jump in there. And if I waited till like October, I wouldn't be able to get back in, because we got local homeboy doing it for $100 and some drink tickets.
True that.
I mean, he ain't gonna pull the same people.
True that.
Yeah.
Or the new Twitch streamer who just turned DJ last year or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, you don't see that. Guaranteed at venues, you're gonna see some of these DJs who've been just started like 3-4 months ago, who got their little thirsty fans, and they're going to go up in a club, and they might do good the first time because all their people will come out and support. And you know, this is the same with all the undercutter DJs that in San Francisco that used to do the bar venue scene. But can they bring those people out every week or every month for years and years and years? Probably not going to happen. We'll see, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, people are really sadly, people are used to like the whole TikTok. They know a 30-second dance. So they're not trying to hear a 3-minute song in a club anymore. Like, you can't, these newer DJs, they can't even wait. They can't wait till the break. And most new music doesn't even have a break in it. So they're doing verse, chorus, mix out. Verse, chorus, mix out, you know, which...
Or you may have DJs that don't even do that they just like kind of, I don't know, mostly talk. You know what I mean? Those DJs that are like playing music, but they're mostly like, hey, what's up, guys?
Every person that walks into the venue, they're going to be giving a shout out. You know, so-and-so's in the house, so-and-so's in the house. Yeah.
So,
you know, it'll be... It'll be interesting to see how things play out.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, those kind of venues are not the venues that I play anyhow. That's going to be the trendy, clicky bottle service or dress code. Like, I rarely play a place that has a dress code, and if the venue has a dress code, I'm like,
It kind of
like,
it signals something.
Yeah, to me it means like, well, you're probably playing crappy music and you have people in here with crappy attitudes.
And you're attracting a crappy crowd.
Yeah, and if I'm wearing sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt, everyone else should be able to. That's how I feel. And dress code or not, people are gonna fight if they're gonna fight. They're probably even going to fight more so if they had to dress up and come out there and wait in line and someone steps on their nice shoes. I've seen more fights in places where you had to be dressed up than in just regular, like, cool, dress how you like spots, you know?
True. That's so true. That's hilarious. Shout out to DJ Tonga Kid. Thank you for joining us. Shoddy Fiddle. Angie Snap's still with us. She says, I hate songs being cut short. Yeah, I feel you.
Well, see, that's the thing with 80s songs. A lot of them you don't have to cut short because they're so good. You can wait till the break, just like you did in the 80s. Like, I still play like I played in the 80s. Which was you wait till the break. That's exactly how I still play to this day. And even when I play hip hop, I still mix it the same way I mix everything else. I still do the beat mixing. Like I don't do the cut and just cut and like I just
Blends.
no matter what I play, I still play it the same way where it's the beat mixing and you try to wait for a break or yeah, that's just me. And you know, I know I should probably play when I play hip hop. I should probably play it a little differently. But I just have a harder time with that, especially nowadays using the controller compared to using turntables.
Your blends are smooth though.
I try my best.
And you say you don't really plan your sets.
I don't. No, I just like on Twitch. I'll pick the first song, and that's
let it go wherever it goes.
As soon as I'm playing that, I'm searching like, well, what can go with this? Yeah, I've never been into playing. The only time I really planned the set was for Outside Lands because I have 45 minutes to play Prince and Michael, and I spent like 2 days planning that set, man. And I was all like, "Oh, I'm never doing this again," because drive yourself nuts. It's
totally.
Just this, like, and when I say 2 days, I mean like 14-hour days planning that set. And then afterwards, you were like,
"What?"
It wasn't even really worth it.
to plan out that far ahead.
Yeah, like it was just like.
Was that in the Heineken tent you did that in?
Yeah.
Dope.
I mean, it was cool to do, and it was great to be asked. But it was nerve-wracking planning a 45-minute set.
As opposed to a longer set.
Well, because I don't plan the long sets. I just play.
Yeah.
Which is great because then you read off the crowd and well, let me go this way. You know, or not enough people are drinking. Let me play a song that's not so much a hit, so some people leave the dance floor and go get a drink. You know, because like I said, those bar sales are kicking. You're going to be back. You know, so like some DJs just got to play hit after hit after hit. It's got to be and it's just like, nah, man, you gotta.
Yeah.
I think there's an art to it for. Like venues, I can't even call them clubs because a dance club is a different kind of thing than the places that I play. They're more like venues where sometimes they have bands, sometimes they have DJs. But I think you see more of these DJs just playing hits because there's 5 DJs on the bill. They only each get 1 hour. So if you have a 1 hour, maybe. You kind of know what you're going to play and you want it to be all bangers because you want your hour to be a good hour.
Yeah. You want to stand out amongst these other DJs.
Because if you play a song that's so people can go to the bar, everyone else is going to be like, he didn't play all bangers. And then the DJ comes on after you and he's all like, pow, 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 pow. And then you look like the lame, the weak link, you know?
But there's a role for every DJ. If you're opening, then you have a certain set, right? You know, like you're kind of, you don't just put all the bangers in first.
Some of these opening DJs, man, they go in there, they're doing like a 12 a.m. peak set, and like, yo, come, it's 8 o'clock, homie. There's 20 people in here.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel you.
You know.
Yeah, there's definitely an art to it, you know. You got to know.
There's an art to it that I think DJs just learn over time. It just takes time, and you know, I mean, when we were younger, we would go see other DJs. I don't do that too much anymore because I usually have a gig on the weekend, so I can't see other DJs and. that's what Twitch has been good for, as far as you get to see DJs maybe you've never been able to see before. That's really cool. And that's how you learn is you listen and you might be like, oh, I see what he did there. Like, that was smart. How can I do something like that and convert it into what I do? Because I'll hear like a rap DJ do something, and I'll be like, oh, that was really cool. I could do that with New Wave, but switch some this and this and this. So
yeah, you just it's been really entertaining, and just it's great to watch other DJs. And now that the focus is all on you on Twitch, you know what I mean? Like it's like you're under a microscope, so you could literally watch DJs and see their technique, their style, and all those types of things. We're getting close to the end of our program. If there's if anybody has any questions, we could bring you into the chat. And let me see here. Let me just find the link right here. If anybody has any questions, we could bring you into the stream, and then you can go ahead and ask your question. We have, just to reset the room, as they would say in Clubhouse, we're talking to DJ Dave Paul, founder of Bomb Hip Hop Records, Bomb Hip Hop Magazine, and the founder of the Prince and Michael Jackson Experience, That Big 80s Party, and there's another one, the Classic Hip Hop. You have a bunch of different themes.
Hip Hop, all that 90s, that 80s Party, and the Prince and Michael. And I still have some other ones theme parties I want to do that I just haven't gotten to.
Dope. So if you have any questions, shoot me a whisper, True School, and we'll bring you into the stream to ask DJ Dave Paul.
While we're waiting, the interesting thing about being able to watch Twitch DJs that you've never been able to see before is I've come across a lot of like unknown DJs that are great, and I've come across like some big name DJs that I'm like, ooh, you shouldn't be on Twitch because this is gonna hurt your bookings. Like,
how so?
They have that big name and they always get those bookings off that name and fame.
Sure.
But then you're watching them on Twitch and you're like, ooh, like.
Because of what? Because of their viewer count? Because of their presentation?
No, because they suck. They're just like crappy DJs.
Oh, wow.
And maybe that works in a club when you got a heavy hitter promoter and bottle service and everybody's
and
drunk.
Distractions and go-go dancers.
Yeah, and shout, having a hype man and everything else. Like, maybe that works, but on Twitch, I'm watching it and I'm like, bro, this is going to hurt your bookings. Because, like, I can't believe you're this bad. Like, you had such this name, and now in my head, I'm like, I would never go see that person live because, man, they're not good.
Wow. Name names. That way I know not to follow them.
How do you feel like DJ? I use a controller. This is why I use a controller. It's because I'd always go to these venues and their turntables were jacked up. Their mixers were jacked up. One time when I was playing New York, we dug out 4 different turntables and 3 mixers from their storage room, whatever. Only one turntable worked, and the mixer was janky, so I couldn't use the up and down fader, and so we had to start the show 40 minutes late before they let people in, and I had a DJ with like one turntable and didn't do internal and keep switching over. And so for me, that was the last straw of that, and pitch drift with Serato was always a problem, especially if you have these turntables that aren't calibrated right and it's sitting on, you have it at +2, but it's really +4. I just got tired of it. So I started using a controller. It took me like 2 years to get used to it. But now I'm stuck on it because there's no pitch drift, and for the way I mix, which is all beat mixing, it's fine. Like, but if I'm trying to cut and just throw a song, it's weird to do that on a controller. Like, that's, for me, that's like a turntable thing, because it's a different feel and movement. And,
Yeah.
but I see DJs on controllers that can cut and scratch and do all that, and I'm like, man, I can't. I still can't. It's still weird. Like, the platter's small and it's not moving. You're not touching a record. And, but yeah, man. You know what? I have a compact one, and it goes on my case, and it goes underneath the seat on the airplane.
Yep.
And I don't have to worry. I get to a venue, I don't have to worry if some of these venues I play don't even have turntables for the mixer. So now I can go play places that don't have DJs any other night because they don't have the equipment. And the only way they didn't have DJs if that DJ was going to bring in their turntables and mixer and stuff.
Right. You could just plug into the system.
You can play anywhere.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm on the plane and I'm like, man, I wish they'd let me plug into the intercom and I'll play on the plane.
Word.
Like,
I feel you. You could.
Like, no,
it's very portable.
We gotta sit here for an hour, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be so cool to just plug in and play music.
That would be dope. Do a live stream from the airport.
Yeah.
Or anywhere,
hey,
really.
Man, there's many a times when I'm in the airport, and you know how they have those little like audio stores where they sell like headphones and different that, and they'll have like a little boombox thing set up. I always want to go in there and just be like, yo, let me just plug right in, you know. What controllers are you using? My favorite one to use is the Pioneer SB2. I don't like the 3. The audio just doesn't sound right on that. But I also have like Roland. I used to really like Vestex, except they went out of business and you couldn't get parts anymore. I have like 3 Vestex 380s. One, the XLRs are messed up. Another one, the headphone jacks is messed up. And I have one that's like fully working. And then I have like a Denon, and there's probably 1 or 2 other ones.
Yeah, I used to have the SB2, and then the same thing. RCA jacks got jacked up. Probably, those monster cables. They totally rip apart your RCA jacks all the time.
Oh, I hate when a sound person, which is usually a sound man, but I have seen more sound women lately. So I'll say the sound person, and I'll be like, no, let me put them, because they'll be like, shoving them into your equipment. And I'm like, yo, man, like, mess my stuff up.
Yeah, I definitely have a controller, and it's useful just for mobile gigs, just in general. Like when I do weddings or whatever, just take the controller. It's light. Like you said, mine is the SB, so it's like small, right? So it's like
it's small, it's light. Like everything I bring on the plane, I have my rolling suitcase, and then I have my case for the SB, like over the handle, and everything's carry on. I don't check any luggage because you don't want to wait for luggage especially if you're like running late. You don't want to wait for luggage because you know what, you don't want to miss your gig. There's been times where I've had to get the plane's late and this and that, and you don't even have time to go to the airport and shower. You just gotta get an Uber and get to the venue and set up and just start playing. So yeah, if you're a DJ, and try not to check luggage, especially like what if they lose it, especially if it's your equipment, and even if it's not your equipment, but it's like
lose it or break it.
Your laptop charger's in there.
They always throw shit around in the luggage.
Always.
So you see them doing it when you're like looking at the plane, like they're just throwing the shit.
And every time I see that, I'm like, whoa, glad I didn't check anything. Like, man. Tubular 80s is in here.
Welcome.
Yo, man, she's a great supporter and just a lover of 80s music, and I appreciate her being in. She's always on my channel and always listening to my mix score, because what I do is I I always download my show right after Twitch before I delete it. So that way I have the video. So I can either take the video and put it on Vimeo, or I can convert it to audio and put it on Mixcloud. You can take what you've done on that one day and repurpose it, because maybe someone didn't have time to listen to you that day, but they might go listen to your show on Mixcloud later on.
So Vimeo doesn't take you down? They don't have copyright? The copyright
They
problems?
don't take down any video.
Oh, that's good.
So if you ever need to post a video and YouTube's taking it down and everything else, Vimeo.
But you have to pay. It's a subscription, right?
Yeah, well, I have one because I have a lot of stuff on there. But it's not I think it's like $60 a year or something. I have like whatever the lowest subscription is.
Okay.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds
I could
good.
be wrong on that price, but whatever I'm paying, I know it's worth it because it just came back around for me to pay for another year, and I was just like, just let it roll, man.
That sounds good. I might.
More people go to Mixcloud and listen to the audio than they do to watch it on Vimeo. But the cool thing on Vimeo is you can show that to other people. Like if like say there was an 80s artist that I wanted to do an interview with, I could be like, well, if you don't have time to go watch one of my live shows, here's a link to Vimeo and you can see my different shows. And especially if you have your chat scrolling on the screen, so they can see that and they see the emotes and they hear the music and they see the videos and stuff. And then they're going to be probably more apt to be like, yeah, I'll do an interview. I'll come on your show and do a 10-minute little thing, which is always in the back of my head to do that for my show. I just haven't gotten to that point.
Dope. So yeah, you could catch Dave Paul's mixes here. I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the chat.
I'm on this Saturday at 2 p.m. Doing 80s. I usually do 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific, like 4-hour set.
Okay.
And
you do any weekdays?
Yeah, I try to keep to a schedule. I was trying to do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. But then I had to go to the dentist, and I had a shoulder injury, and the dog had to go to the vet. There's always something going on.
Sure.
So, but I try to do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
And those are either 3 or 4 hour shows, depending on how I feel.
Okay. So 3 to 4 hours. You think that's the key to stream?
Well, I don't know. I think longer sets the longer you're on, the more chance you have of more people coming in and more raids. I usually do 4. Sometimes I'll go as far as 5 hours. For me, it's just if I'm in the mood. Like sometimes you're just not in the mood to DJ, so you'll just be like, well, I'll just do 3 hours and cut it,
Makes sense.
And it also depends, just like a live gig, like is the chat moving along? Are there people in there having fun and they're talking and chatting? Or if it's just the chat's dead and
it could be people like lurking.
Yeah, people are lurking, but hey, people could be lurking, but if you have 40 viewers and nothing's happening in your chat, there's not that many lurkers. And if you got 100 people, then yeah, you got some lurkers. People just are at home working or whatever, and they're not like watching, they're just listening. Which is sometimes I think, like, I had a discussion with someone like, yeah, people that are just listening don't even know a hype train's going on because I'm not on the mic being like, oh my God, there's a hype train level 3, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that's why I always think, like, well, sometimes being on the mic or being on camera could help your hype train.
Yeah.
Then
that's
I feel funny about it, because then I feel like the only reason I'm on camera or on mic is to try to make more money. And
Mm-hmm.
then that becomes a funny thing. Like, if you're DJing because you love DJing and music, the money is just icing on the cake.
Secondary.
Like, yeah, but once once you're just doing it for money, which is like, let's face it, most rappers today, new rappers, they're not doing it because they love rap and hip hop. They're doing it to make money. And I feel like once it's just a money thing, it becomes something else. Like, I know you are probably the same way as me. Is when we started DJing, we never thought we'd make money from it. Because back then, you do a mobile gig and you had 3 guys, and maybe you made $200 and you split it 3 ways. Like, we never thought. And back then, it was so hard to get into because it was only dance clubs and only the big name DJs were up in there. You know, Cameron Paul or you know, whoever. It wasn't like just like all us regular guys can get up and DJ, and then it became like every sushi restaurant had a DJ and every bar had a DJ, and that's when like it blew up, and us DJs could get gigs in some type of venue and not do just the mobile DJing. But you know who's making money right now are all the mobile DJs. I'll tell you that right now, because they're doing all the weddings.
That's true.
Everyone that's been waiting to get married, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
wedding season is starting to pick up all over again. So I'm waiting for my call.
Happy for all those mobile DJs. I can't.
I still do those gigs.
I'll be honest. I was like, I should never stop mobile DJing.
Yo, I mean, it only makes sense, especially since you're like an '80s connoisseur. People love that for weddings.
I don't know. I don't see too many.
You don't think so?
I don't see too many DJs getting booked just to do 80s stuff, like 80s weddings or
yeah. But I mean, it's part of the
80s,
thing.
like, you know, for these conventions and car shows. And I did get booked once to do Prince and Michael for Nike.
Oh, dope.
That was many moons ago. But here's the thing: is everyone in there wasn't feeling all the Prince and Michael, so then I just started going 80s. I told the main dude, I was like, yo, I could tell, like, after this first 90 minutes, like, they're getting tired of this. Yeah, Cho got it right. Don't miss carrying those crates. Yeah,
I don't either.
6 crates of records, and you had to think ahead of time. Well, what I'm going to put in these 4 crates?
That's
you
right.
can bring everything, you know.
That's right.
But then even now DJs are like, I got 10,000 MP3s, and I'm like, you ain't even gonna play 10,000. Like, there ain't even 10,000 songs good enough for you to have. Like, you know, I think there's, you know, before we couldn't have enough songs, and now we have
too many
songs.
Yeah,
you know, and
totally.
it's I mean, all the DJs are trading all the same MP3s.
True.
Oh man, yeah.
So anybody else have any questions for Dave Paul? We're wrapping this up in a few minutes. So let me know in the chat if you have any other questions. Yeah, because that definitely the transition, I think, from vinyl to Serato changed a lot. You know, because like you said, you had to be selective about, this is the music that I'm going to play for the night. Back in the day, you bring that. If somebody asks you for a request, you could be like, sorry, this is all I got. You know what I mean? Yeah. These days, you don't have those limitations, and it could be good or bad, right? It's good, the fact that you could just, if you only brought Prince and Michael and you needed some Wham and other shit,
right?
Then
Cyndi Lauper and save the day.
Yeah, right. So, whereas it's also it's a gift and a curse. It's a curse also in that, like, now you have access to that and you can't make that an excuse. And also the fact that, like, when you went out back then, you really set out to play these records. Now it's not necessarily that. That's not necessarily the case.
You know, which I think people feel it should be easy to play their song requests. They're like, they see you have a laptop, and yeah, now there's certain things you can do where you can download stuff or whatever. I
got Tidal. You have Tidal? Now you can access any music.
Yeah. See, I don't do that because I feel like what I have in my laptop is what I want to play. Is what I like. And you know how people used to come up with you can play it from a phone. Oh, just play some blah 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 off YouTube. And you're like, but if it was a song that I really liked, I'd already have it.
True.
I don't have it. That's why DJ, you can't play shit if you don't have it.
Yeah.
And I mean shit by crap. Like if you don't have crap music in your laptop or your hard drive, you can't play it.
Mm-hmm.
You won't play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also I've designed my career to not have to play that because I don't play new music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I was a DJ that was just getting hard to be in a venue to play and play new stuff, then I'd have to have all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of that is disposable music. It's hot for 2-3 months and it's gone.
Yep.
Like, how is anyone ever going to do like a 2000, 20 years from now? How's someone going to do a 2000 to 2010 retro party?
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to even remember those songs, and no one's even going to care about the songs because the lyrics didn't hit them. The music.
What about 2020? Think about that. What's the hits from 2020? since the corporations and the radio wasn't able to to impress all those songs on us, we kind of missed 2020 altogether, right? Like,
you know what? They didn't put out a lot of music in 2020, and I'll tell you why. Because they couldn't do any tours, and the only way to make money is off the tours. Because nowadays you don't make much money off the music. You make it off the touring and the merch.
True.
If you notice, this was very smart. Miley Cyrus did all those cover songs.
Mm-hmm.
You check the festivals, she's like second headliner after Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses, Miley Cyrus, Run the Jewels.
Okay.
She got second heading, and the only way she kept her name relevant was doing cover songs of mostly 80s music, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
But was she putting out new music? No.
Interesting.
Because you know what? No one wants to hear a new song from her. but they'll go listen to her doing a Stevie Nicks song.
I hear you. So I know that you're like OG and you like a lot of this old music, but what about new music? What that's my question. What new music do you like?
I only come across.
Do you like Billie Eilish?
I heard one or two of her songs. It wasn't horrible. See, I don't listen to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just not exposed to new stuff. And anytime I try, I'm like, I'll last about 20 minutes. And,
I hear you.
I'll see some new stuff on YouTube here and there. And there's some stuff that's okay, but it's nothing to where I'm like, oh, well, let me follow this artist and see what else they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's been some cool alt rock stuff and stuff like that, but I'm still living in the 80s. So I'll stay there, man.
Nice.
What's the newest stuff I bought? Prince. Yeah, I pre-ordered that new album. They're coming out, that Welcome to America.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. New music, I can find it all for free. I don't need to pay for it.
Exactly.
And most people don't pay for music anymore. You know what I pay for is I'll buy old CDs on Amazon of stuff that I want to re-edit because I want the best quality I can get.
Okay.
So I can re-edit it and then I can play it in the club. And if I buy something new, it's from like, you know, the Pretenders. They came out with a new album about that. A few other ones. I'll buy it on CD.
Mm-hmm.
And then stick it on my computer and convert it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll buy some stuff on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Here and there.
Okay. Nice. Shout out to B-Boy Ian.
That's usually like hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dope. Oh, yeah. Shout out to B-Boy Ian, who's just joining us. Shout out to Evie Nicole. Thanks for the bits earlier. Forgot about that. Yeah, so if there's any other questions for Dave Paul, any final thoughts?
See, Selecta must have left because he would have had a bunch of questions for me, I'm sure. But, you know, he got bored of me talking like he gets bored of me DJing. He doesn't stay in my room too long, probably because I played the song too long.
That's hilarious.
I'm waiting for the break. He's like, oh, no, man. Can't be waiting 2 minutes for you to get to that break. I'm out of here. And I'm just joking.
Well, shout out to Selecta.
Yeah, his show's great, man. Like, him and, like, Shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, who are your favorite?
Bastard
Mm-hmm.
And Melody from Beat Junkies.
Okay.
Those are some of my favorite shows.
Dope.
For sure. Because those four guys got skills, and it's skills that I'll never have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely those guys.
Certainly, I would never have I can never beat juggle or anything like that. So I would never have the Shortcut or Melody or scratch pad. But you know, Select doesn't do too much beat juggling, but his sets are so good and smooth, and the transitions and the music he's playing, makes me very jealous because I'm like, man, I wish I could be like that. But to be like that, man, that's like 12 hours of practice every day for like a year to get like, you know, these DJs you see with skills, they just didn't pop up like 2 years ago.
Out of nowhere, yeah. No.
They've been working on this for years and years, and that's why they're good. That's why they are who they are.
Yeah. I mean, Selecta's been doing it since like 89 or something like that, 88, as like a 14, 15-year-old. So, yeah, so that totally makes sense. Shout out to Shotgun Shima, Sacktown in the house.
Hi.
So, yeah, my favorites are same, Shortcut, Green Lantern. His streams are very entertaining. He's got the visuals and just, the way he shouts out people on the mic. You know, the way his MC skills on the mic is dope.
Oh man, some of these DJs have like really good. They're just smooth with it.
Yeah. Like sometimes I see him like doing his thing, and I'm like, it's almost like he's also has a cadence.
Yeah.
With the way he's doing it.
It's almost like you don't notice to where some of these other DJs, you're like, ooh, like they talk too much. And then some of these other DJs, they're probably talking the same amount of time on the mic, but just the way they do it there's a whole skill to it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they're not dropping down the music too much, or they're doing it in the right spot, or just they have that voice. Like, I'm like, man, like,
yeah,
they just got it. They got it. That it's very natural. Like when it's very natural for them. It's great. Like for me, like talking has never been a natural thing. Like most people that have hung out with me know, like I don't talk that much.
Well, it was great talking to you
If
today.
I do, I'm like messing up on words. And,
Oh, yeah.
And,
Me too sometimes.
yeah.
I'll be
I just-
stuttering. I used to stutter
Yeah.
as a kid, so sometimes I'll stutter. Sometimes I just get nervous. Like
I
out of
always
nowhere.
sat in the back of the class and kept my mouth shut. Like, are you kidding? Having to stand up in the front of a class and read something? That was like my worst thing.
Yeah. I think
You
for me, like doing the Who sampled shows has definitely helped me, with this a little bit more because I'm engaging and we're having me and Platter and are having a conversation. Whoever I have, like you know what I mean. So so it's easier to engage in that way as opposed to like I'm DJing and then I'm also engaging as opposed to like I've done sets where I'm just doing like jazz samples and I'm just spinning and I'm not like worrying too much. Then I can just kick it and talk with the people because like jazz samples, there's not vocals on it. It's not like, you know what I mean? So it's easier to just like have it as background music as you're talking to people, and stuff.
The only time that I would talk at a club is like last call for alcohol, and this is the last song of the night.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
know,
Or
'cause this
or the occasional shout out, right? Happy birthday
yeah,
to
there's always. But my problem with the birthday shout out is, as soon as you do one, I know you know this. Everyone else starts coming up because there's like maybe 5 other birthdays in the house.
Yep.
And a lot of times I can't remember all the names that people gave me. I should write it down. But then some of these people have names that I can't say because, like, I have a problem speaking, So it'll be like a complicated name with like hella syllables. And I'm like, man, I can't even say it. There's been times where I'm like, here, I'm going to have you say it on the mic. Because I know I'm going to get that person's name wrong. And how are you going to give someone a birthday shout out in a full club and mess up their name when it would be an easy name for anybody else? But for me, I'm like, I can't, there's no way I'm going to be able to say it. Like, can you write it out in a certain way? Like I've done that before. I've written out people's names in a way that I knew I could say it because it was a name that I was like, what name is that? Like,
I mean, even these days with these
if
Twitch.
someone's name is Jimmy, I can give Jimmy a shout out, no problem.
But what about these Twitch streamers who got like names like Papa D's Nuts and shit like that? You're like, shout out to Papa D's Nuts, or no, or even like the names sometimes are really difficult too. You're like,
They're really different, and some of them are names that are. I wish Twitch would have been like we would have just all used our real names, because even for me, I have a hard time connecting.
who are
that
you?
person is to either where I know them in real life,
Yes.
or if I know them on Facebook,
Yes.
or maybe they've sent me a tip on Venmo, but Venmo shows their real name,
Right.
And then you're like, you get people confused, and then there's like 3 or 4 different people in my stream with Cat KAT and something after it, so that I start getting all the cats confused. Yeah, man, the whole Twitch, and then I feel like when we go back to clubs, we should have Twitch badges. So when you're all talking, especially like some of these clubs are going to have masks on, and so you're not even going to know who they are anyhow.
True.
You should have like your real name and your Twitch handle.
That's
and
a good
should
idea.
have your icon on. You should have your icon on your shirt.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Your little emoji or whatever.
Yeah, right.
That's a good
Oh,
idea.
I'm ready for the clubs. I got my real life emojis.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love those. Tell me about those. I've been seeing them.
I'll probably make some bigger ones because then everyone in the club could be like,
That's another thing that you've added to your club gigs are those little things. And like
Yeah.
I've seen people hold up the Prince and Michael Jackson faces.
yeah. So then I was like, well, I'm just gonna do it with the emotes that are on my channel.
That's awesome. Nice.
Because I've thought like, well, if I bring an extra laptop to a gig, and if they're wired up, then I can do Twitch and have Twitch up on the screen, and then people in the club could be on their phone firing off emotes, and they're gonna see it on the screen.
Word.
Like,
I've been thinking about how to integrate both. You know what I mean? Where you see me on the screen, but you also see the chat, and then you know how to integrate both things. But I like those. I like those little emotes though.
And then you could also bring a webcam,
Uh-huh.
and what you can do is you can broadcast the club to Zoom, but then up on the screen you have people on Zoom at home up on the screen, so people in the club can see people at home, and people at home can see people in the club.
That's interesting.
But then you need another person to work all that. So
yeah,
like I can't do that on my own because you're gonna need a laptop, but not just a laptop. But if you're doing that and Zoom, you're gonna need a person just to work that.
The Zoom, yeah.
You know, because
Zoom tech.
You want to change the windows, and sometimes I want to go back and forth, and maybe you have 2 or 3 cameras, and
I could do that if you need somebody. If you have a budget, fly me with you. I'll be your tech dude.
That's the thing, man. It's all about the money. You know.
Well,
all of a sudden, my gigs are going to be like $35 at the door. People are like, well, just for a DJ, yeah, but you got to pay for Twitch and
he got a Zoom tech
and Zoom and photo taker, video guy.
Yep.
Bring my own security and my own bartender.
Yep. Right. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like creative ways to integrate all this stuff, you know, because, you know, that's what I'm doing now at Hello Stranger. I can't wait to have an actual dance floor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, I've been live streaming for the past few years before Twitch, before pandemic.
That's right. You were actually. I remember that.
So, but you know, Facebook was always taking me down. So now, I mean, and the reason why I wanted to start streaming because my parties were going down, you know, like it's gratifying in real life, you know, like the next day you remember the party and how it was, you know, everyone was live, but I wanted to show everybody else how the party was going down, especially at the layover, because those parties, my first Fridays at the layover was always fucking just going down. I'd have people singing at the top of their lungs, you know what I mean? I wanted people to see the shit that's going down over here. So I can't wait for things to kind of get back to normal a little bit so I could show people what, you know, how I rock a party in real life.
Yeah. It's going to be weird to see, like, are people just going to be kind of chilling, or are people just going to go all out? Like,
I'm already seeing it, you know, like they told me at Hello Stranger, I spun there yesterday, you know, they told me just keep it loungy because all tables, they put tables on the dance floor and everything, and they don't really want people dancing. I think in San Francisco, they've been busting some clubs and bars, from what I hear, for dancing.
San Francisco's been like the strictest out of the whole country. Because I see parties in LA that have been like full on parties for like over a month, even though California's not supposed to reopen until the 15th. But yeah, San Francisco's definitely been the strictest. But
yeah, people are still they're ready to dance.
Hey man, I've seen some party footage that I think might have been in Oakland. It was either Oakland or San Francisco, and I saw some people, 20, 30 people, no mask, dancing, hugging, drinking.
That's starting to happen. People are vaccinated. Yeah. They got the okay from Fauci, or not Fauci, but from the CDC. So, but everybody, like, after that announcement, everyone was like, well, CDC says this. And all those memes started coming out because it was just so fucking ridiculous. You know,
and it's crazy. It's like we're going, especially for California on June 15th. It's like we're going from 0 to 60.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah,
and the same with Seattle on June 30th. Like right now, it's like nothing, but June 30th, it's like full open, and a few other places. That's why, like last week, I had so many emails with venues because all of a sudden everyone hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I can't even keep. Now it's like it just went from closed to open. It's just gonna be like that, you know.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, okay, let me get the Facebook page up, get the Facebook ads, get the poster, you know.
Get back on the grind.
Oh, but then this gig, and okay, let me go book my flight, hotel, and it was like all at once. Like, I mean,
that's a good thing, though. I think
this is my list of upcoming gigs.
That's dope.
So I'm going from 0 to like a dozen.
That's dope.
You know, I mean, this is June to September. I have on my list, and that, but yeah, So I don't know, man. We'll see how it all goes, and we'll see how everything, at least in the U.S., opening back up, how that's going to affect Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have yet to see.
Yep. See it, but here's the thing: I think most people on Twitch are the kind of people that's into it already. Like, not too many. Like most of the people, at least for my '80s party, aren't people that go clubbing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like,
there's that whole demographic.
I haven't been to a club in 10 years.
Right.
They'll go to a concert, and they'll go to a concert if they have a seat, and they'll spend $150 on a concert to see one of these legacy 80s groups, you know? But, and also I think a lot of them haven't been to a club in so long that they think a club is like a dance club, like what it used to be with the lights and everything else, to where now it's more like, at least my parties, it's a venue, so it's really just like a bigger size bar, and some people are just chilling, some people are drinking, some people are just listening to music, some people are dancing. Very different than like the older typical dance club where it was like drinking and dancing, like
I feel you.
Yeah, man, I'm anxious. And it'll just be weird to travel again. It'll be weird to be in a club again and to be around people.
Yeah, that's what I was asking on my stream the other day. Are people shaking hands again yet? Or is it that awkward? No fist bump. No elbow. Or should I just do the head nod?
I had my dentist appointment two weeks ago, and at the end, after the dentist had his gloves off, he went to go and give me a fist bump.
Did you give him the elbow?
In my head, I was like, "What the fuck?" But I still gave him the fist bump because I was like, "Well, he probably cleaned his hands before put the gloves on to work on my mouth." But it was weird because I was all like, when he went like this, I was all like, "What's he putting his fist up for?" I was like, "Oh, he wants a fist bump," because it's just, you know.
I feel you. It gets awkward.
But you know what? Handshakes was always awkward, anyhow.
Yeah. Because sometimes I give people.
If you didn't get your grip right, then you accidentally kind of shook the dude's hand all like soft.
That's
you're
true.
Like, oh, that's a bad handshake. That's a bad first example.
The clammy handshake.
Someone that got a lame handshake, or then some people are like hella shaking your arm, be like, "Yo," or they got
gripping your hand too tight.
Or in the club, when dudes want to shake your hands, and I know just because in clubs or even in airports, going in the airport, like coming out in the bathroom, like not everyone's walking out washing their hands.
Yo.
So being in a club, you're thinking, so everybody wants to shake the DJ's hand and everything, and you're just like, yo, you want to be like, did you wash your hands?
Yo, the last time I played a gig at the layover, and this was right before we all got shut down, and we were already anticipating that shutdowns were going to start happening. I'm DJing, right? Somebody comes down from the bathroom, and then gives me dap with a wet hand, and I'm just thinking to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna get COVID from this."
Because then you don't know, is his hand wet because he washed it, or is his hand wet because he peed on it? You know? And there'll be times where I'm in a club's bathroom, because most venues don't have like a backstage or whatever bathroom for the DJ. You just gotta use the bathroom that's in the club, you know? And I'll see like someone who doesn't wash their hands, and I'll have a mental note like, yo, if that dude comes up, do not shake that dude's hand. Like, yo, you know, I don't care if you tip me money. Like, nah, homie.
Oh, that's hilarious.
There's actually this one guy, nice guy. He must be like Italian or whatever down in LA, or French or whatever, because he always comes up and he's hugging you. He's got to give you the 2 kisses and stuff.
Oh.
And it's always awkward because he does that like 3-4 times during the night, you know?
Oh, no.
And now I'm finally like, yo, when I'm in LA, if I see that, like, nah, dude, stay. It was already a problem before, but now it's a big problem.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, man.
You need to stay over there and have your mask on, homie.
Yeah. So for you, just the elbow, or the head nod.
Hey, you know what, man? The head nod, or I'll wave to you.
The wave. Give him the audio one wave.
We're gonna have to do like Demolition Man, where you do your hands like that or whatever. Be well, John Spartan.
Or like freaking the Vulcan, like greeting, like,
I can't do it, so I'll just be like this.
Oh shit, that's hilarious.
I'll be like, peace.
Word up. So I think we've gone like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Is there anything? You have any last thoughts? Any other questions for Dave? Are we good here? We talked about handshakes. If we're still doing them. But next week, actually, if you guys want to tune in, I'm gonna be streaming live from Fairyland in downtown Oakland for a roller skating event. I'm gonna be so 5:30 to 8:30. Tune in. You'll see all the roller skaters and all that. In real life event. And this Sunday, Wakanda greetings. Rock Dog says. Is it like this or like this? I don't know. But this Sunday we also have Who Sampled, co-hosted by Arabian Prince of NWA. So make sure you tune into that at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. on the East Coast. For my streams, I've been doing nighttime streams like 10 p.m. You know, because my kid's in school and was in school. He's done with school now, but I've been doing like 10 p.m. after. So I'm changing up my schedule. I'm gonna do 2 daytimes. So my daytimes are gonna probably be noon till 4 Wednesday and Friday, and then my nighttime's gonna be Tuesday and Thursday 10 p.m. till for about 3 hours or 4 hours depending. So that's my general schedule. I figured I'd switch it up because I'm missing a lot of people from Europe when I do the 12 p.m. Or when I do the late night. I'll catch them in the morning. But I don't catch my East Coast people. My East Coast people are already asleep by the time I start streaming.
Now, see, too bad Twitch took away the email your subscriber feature.
Man.
Because that was really handy, because you could like email your subscribers and be like, this is what I'm on this week. Or I'm pretty bummed they took away that feature.
Yeah, I thought about, it's funny because,
Because you know what, Ren?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the email list.
It's all about the email is gold, everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
but you know what? It's hard to get people to sign up. I'll have like maybe one sign up a week if I'm lucky, and I push it in my stream chat like, yo, click on this link and go. You can go. Oh well, you should. Oh yeah. See, I missed email. See, because when you could email subscribers, and also you used to be able to, you could email subscribers and be like, oh, here's a download from today's show that I threw up on the Mixcloud. maybe that's why Twitch took it off, because they don't want people to put in their Mixcloud links to let their subscribers know, like, oh, well, you missed me live on Twitch. Here's the audio recording I put up on Mixcloud.
Plus, you know, the Twitch notifications were definitely limited. You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't email you back. It didn't even actually have your Twitch channel on there, unless you put it in a link. So like,
I would just put the link like under my like DJ Dave Paul, and then I'd put the.
But a lot of people don't. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm going on at blah blah blah," and it's just like,
10 minutes.
But where's the link?
Taking requests.
Yeah.
Interesting thing you said about roller skating. Like, man, roller skating sure made a comeback, huh?
Yeah, totally.
A lot of ER visits too.
But I mean, I think it's also because of COVID, right? Everyone wants to be out, and they think it's just like a safer way to be out, you know.
Totally. You know, I've been seeing people like my age getting into it because to see like the IG videos and stuff, and people ended up in the ER and
hurting their ankle or something, or busting a tailbone.
Elbow, wrist.
I don't skate. You skate? You roller skate?
Skateboard back in the day, but and the reason I actually stopped skateboarding was all the injuries.
Yeah, I used to skateboard too, but not roller skate.
And no, I never roller skated, and I couldn't do the ice skating thing. For me, it was always skateboards. But there's no way you're gonna catch me on a skateboard. I'll break a hip. I know it. I know. Like, you're not gonna see me skiing, snowboarding. What else? You're not gonna see me skydiving. Not gonna happen, man.
What about hoops? You play any hoops, Dave?
Oh man, not in years. I was good at shooting threes, but
nice.
Anything near the net, I was.
Well, if you want to join the league, there's some DJs that are forming a team to join a league.
What DJs are going up in there?
Mr. E, franchise. I got the email recently. Who else is down with this basketball thing?
We're all gonna have to bust out the Bengay and the AIDS bandage wrap and.
I'm gonna need to take turns sitting on the bench, because I get winded very quickly. Who else is invited there?
Just bring a whole cooler of ice, because we're gonna need it for the drinks, or we're gonna need it for our ankles.
Right, exactly. Looked like Henrock's on this. DJ Hector, Plattern.
I see Nicole didn't even know they took away the email your subscribers.
Yeah, that happened just not too long ago. Yeah, in the past couple weeks.
A week ago, and that was such a great. I love that feature, and that's why, like, not always, but when I would gift the subs to someone, sometimes I'd see people in the chat, and I'd be like, well, I want them to be able to get my email with all my other information. I'll gift them a sub, because then I know when I send out this email your subscribers, I know they'll see it. And in fact, fun story on that is I had, and she wasn't in my room, I had gifted Miss Ninja a subscription. And then I sent out my email notification, and then she ended up in my chat one day because I had done that.
Dope. That's just very strategic.
Trying to do that marketing promo.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I need to do that more. But now that they've taken that away, it's
Now, well, if they have notifications turned on, at least when you go live, they'll get a notification that DJ Rent's live.
But build your email list.
It's not as good. You know?
I think you just putting your asking people to subscribe to your email list in the chat, probably doing it that way.
Yeah.
To try to build it that way. But another thing I could advice I could give you is in order to build your email list is post it on Eventbrite. You probably already do. But lately, I mean, what I've been doing for the past
Posted
year.
on Eventbrite. That's smart, dude. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, you know what I've been doing over the past year is I've created virtual events since I've been doing my weekly Soul Kitchen. People have been
on Eventbrite because people might not see it on Facebook.
Exactly.
But they'll see it on Eventbrite. Yeah.
Right. So people have been signing up. So now you have those emails.
See, I didn't think to put like. But when you're doing the events, like, are you saying in the event description on Eventbrite, you're saying, "Hey, sign up for my email list," or you're just you're just doing because if they buy a free ticket for the virtual event, then you have the You know what? I got to figure out how to get the emails out of Eventbrite. I haven't figured that out yet.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
See, it's always things like that you can't figure out, and it's always like just that one click, but you didn't know about that click.
Yeah.
Like Ableton, I had Ableton well over a year. I would try to watch YouTube videos, this and that, and I couldn't get it. I was like, man, I can't get this. And then I did a little 2-hour screen time class with DJ Freddie G.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I was like, oh, it's this button right here. That was. So I couldn't figure out how to warp a track, and and then there was a couple other things I didn't know, and he was like, "Oh, it's just like this and this and this."
That's actually what I've been doing for some DJs who aren't like streaming yet. Like, if you want me to help you get started streaming without OBS and without having to buy a bunch of gear, hit me up. Because
I should have did that. Because here's the funny thing, like DJ Trip walked me through how to set up for Twitch and OBS. So then later on, when DJs in the beginning, a lot of DJs would be like, "Oh, how do you do that?" So I probably walked through like 20 different DJs. Like, okay, let's get on the computer and call me on the phone and figure it out. I was like, oh, it could have been.
Ooh, what happened? He dropped out. It got disconnected. What happened? Oh, man. Where is he? I guess we went too long. Maybe we can bring him back. We need to close out this show. That was DJ Dave Paul, everybody. Maybe he'll click back into the link to join us. But shout out to everybody. Thanks for the bits, Cat Lady. I appreciate it. Let me just give some shout outs to everybody tuning in. Shout out to Evie Nicole Armad, always. Rock Dog in the house. Who else? Shoddy Fiddle. Angie Snap. I see you. Shot the Chill. Yeah, something happened. I don't know if it's on his end. All he needs to do is come back into the chat. Shout to B-Boy Ian. Word up. So yeah, this is our first episode of Behind the Stream where we talk to different DJs, and that right there was DJ Dave Paul of Bomb Hip Hop. He also is famous for his That Big 80s Party, the Prince and Michael Jackson Experience. He tours it all around the nation, and he's already starting to, get gigs. So make sure you look for him, and also make sure you follow DJ Dave Paul, because he's got a really interesting stream. You may not see him on the screen or on camera, but he is still getting those views. You know what I mean? So a lot of people think that being on the camera and shouting everybody out. On your end, it says waiting to join. Let me bring it back. Let me reset this. But he definitely doesn't necessarily follow that formula, which is commendable. It's just his viewers are based on the quality of his music and his video. And on your end, it says waiting for others to join. I joined. I don't know. Oh, there you are. Boom. You're back.
I had to close and open and close and open and close and open.
Oh yeah, and I had to close and open. I didn't know I had to close and open. But
I was
yeah.
like, man, for once I talked so much, I blew something out.
You broke Twitch.
And anyone that knows me knows this is probably like the most that I ever talk.
Yeah. So what you're seeing right now is an exclusive. Everybody, I got the exclusive on Dave Paul, which is awesome. Well, I guess we'll just close out. Any final thoughts before we raid out?
Oh, final thoughts for me. Just everyone be as safe as you can, and support your friends.
That's right. Support Dave Paul.
You know, mentally, like sometimes people just need someone to check on them or to talk to, and even if something's going on in their life, maybe they don't want to talk about those problems, but maybe they just want to talk about music or movies, like, because that'll take their mind off of
I feel
what's
you.
going on.
I feel you. I feel you wholeheartedly, and that's so important, especially these days. You're right. Really, check on your friends for real. You know, especially in these times. And I actually also the other thing is just like, just just give grace to people. You know what I mean? Like, give them cut people some slack. We all could use it.
And have patience, because there's a lot of nuts out there. So
yeah, definitely.
You gotta pace your day, pace your week, pace your month.
Mm-hmm. And give yourself time to recharge.
Well, I've been recharging for 15 months. I'm ready.
He's ready.
I mean, I'm like, oh man, you don't. It's funny. Like in my stream, I always say, like, man, the '80s was the best decade ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I follow that with 2019 wasn't too bad either. Like 2019 wasn't a bad year, like compared to like what all followed. Like,
yeah.
you don't realize how good something is until it's gone. And and I've said this a lot about like the whole hip hop scene in the Bay Area in the 90s. Like, I don't think we knew how good it was back then for us all until it wasn't anymore.
Word.
Till that era was gone,
and
other things happened in life, and we look back and we're like, wow, that was such a good time.
So yeah, just appreciate the moment right now, just in general, because it could be gone in a second. Appreciate the people around you.
And who knows, 10 years from now we might look back and be 2022 was a great year.
Word.
We're all hoping. I think I'm hoping, and this was always my prediction, was we wouldn't be to full reopen open until March 2022. That was always my thinking. My thinking was September. It was going to be 25% in July, 50% in September, and 100% in March of 2022. And it could be that way for other countries, because I know other countries, some things have gone backwards. I know Germany had shut down again, and a few other places that they don't have the vaccine like we have as much of it out here.
Word up. So who should the question right now, I guess, is who we should raid right now. I see Lord Finesse is on, Bus Crates, Boom Bap Kids.
Let's see if there's someone that really like needs it.
Yeah, let's look at the bottom of the list too here.
Yeah. Oh, how funny! I was just about to say, let's raid True School. Well, I mean, off my list.
You ever check out Lord Finesse?
Yeah, you know what, man? I don't follow him on Twitch. I never knew he was on Twitch, and I need to follow him now.
Oh, he's dope. Okay, let's do finesse
Let's raid
then.
him. Let's raid him then.
Yeah, let's do it. Like he's so dope. He's
Oh
so
man, that
dope.
first Lord Finesse album is one of my favorite albums.
Uh-huh. And he's just talented all the way around as an
Right?
MC and as a DJ. He kills it. So wow, yeah. So you're in for a treat, Dave. You know.
All right.
Yeah. So again, that's Dave Paul, Bomb Hip Hop. Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Put a 1 in the
thanks,
chat.
Ren. I
Ev-
appreciate it.
Everybody put a 1 in the chat for Dave Paul.
So funny, I was gonna type a 1.
What's that?
I said I'll type a 1 in it. I was all like, oh, I'm gonna type a 1. You know, always trying to support. I got it. You know what? And here's really quick. I don't do it too much anymore, but when it's a big show like First Avenue or something, I always buy a pair of tickets. And people are like, why are you buying a pair of tickets for your own show? And I was like, if I can't support myself, I can't expect anybody else to.
There you go.
So, because it's not a physical ticket, so it's not like I get to keep anything,
Yeah.
you know, but I'll still buy 2 because in my head, I'm like, I can't expect 1,000 other people to go out and buy a ticket if I can't buy a ticket.
Plus, you got to vote for yourself, right? Or at least put the money in your own tip jar to get to show people that there's something going on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just some weird thing I do.
Yeah.
Like if it's a big show or something, I'll buy a couple tickets just for myself, just because.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go see Lord Finesse.
All right, let's do it.
Peace out, my man. Thanks for the Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
All right, dope. So the raid
Cool.
went. Thanks, man. That was dope.
Oh man, thank you. That was fun. Are you gonna also put it on YouTube or something?
Yeah, it was streaming on YouTube already. So yeah,
Oh no shit.
yeah. It was.
So how do you like this Switcher Studio? Because I know most people are using StreamYards.
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
yeah.